Chapter 5:33. The dragonwood was jet black and extremely thick. The nest that was built had almost lost its luster after countless years. This nest was as big as a mountain. Chaos surged at the bottom, as majestic as the creation of heaven and earth. The ancient coffin floated up and down, and the lid of the coffin moved slowly. It slowly opened under the lingering primordial aura. Clang! The coffin lid tilted to one side, and the sound it made their souls tremble. It was like the first sound after the creation of heaven and earth. The all-chi cauldron above Yi Fan's head shook violently and was about to fly out and rush into the giant nest of chaos. It was a little uncontrollable. Don't let it go. This is the corpse of the heaven-devouring great emperor, and it wants to claim your karma. Don't let it go. The large black dog muttered while shivering. Yi Fan was calm. He didn't want to have any entanglement with the ancient great emperor. If the all-chi cauldron flew away, he wouldn't be so disappointed. He stood quietly on the cliff and didn't deliberately do anything. If there really was some so-called karma, the means of an ancient great emperor definitely couldn't resist it, and it would just be in vain. A corpse. The monkey was extremely nervous. He tightly grasped the almost rotten murderous weapon in his hand and stared at the ancient coffin. The young man of the far ancient imperial tribe was extremely terrified. His eyes were full of fear, and he hid behind the others, his body trembling slightly. The most heaven-defying great emperor since ancient times, who lived for an extremely long time. The large black dog's hair stood up, and he took a few steps back. In the ancient coffin, the chaotic fog was hazy, and a corpse that wasn't very complete lay there quietly, dripping with blood. It couldn't be seen clearly. This was the fourth life of Ruthless. Even the chaos couldn't do anything to his corpse. It's hard to imagine how strong his body was. Even a strand of his hair can break through the chaos. His body has already become the world's most precious holy object, and can be refined into an extreme saint weapon. They were extremely shocked. The cultivation level of this ancient great emperor was already unfathomable. It was comparable to gods, and he could be said to be a god of the world. For lives ended. Now it could be clearly confirmed that the last body of Ruthless was in the coffin. Such damage meant that he couldn't be reborn. Even though he created the indestructible heaven art, he could only extend his life for one life and couldn't walk another path. Ruthless finally reached the end. Plop. The ancient royal youth knelt down, trembling with fear. The ancient coffin exuded a wisp of pressure that made him feel as if he was facing a god. He felt incomparable reverence. Although the myriad chi cauldron above Yi Fan's head was trembling, it did not really fly out. Tens of thousands of silk ribbons fell down and finally calmed down. However, a mysterious connection had not been severed. At this moment, everyone felt like they were hallucinating. They felt a fluctuation of emotions, as if someone was whispering to them. Vicious defied the heavens and stood at the peak of the human race. He showed disdain for the ancient emperors, looked down on the emperors, and stunned the ages. The reason he couldn't live forever wasn't because he wasn't outstanding enough, but rather because this world couldn't allow him to ascend to immortality, unable to raise the multicolored light to leave. He had already walked to the extreme, yet there was no path forward. Despite this being the case, he still went against the flow like a deity, establishing a Tao that had never been seen before throughout the ages. He lived 4 eras in reverse, and no one from past to present could compare. All of this seemed so real. It was as if someone was talking to himself, and it transmitted into everyone's hearts. It made them indescribably astonished, as if it was real yet also an illusion. You stunned the ages and no one could compare to you. Even in death, you were still a peerless hero, looking down on the past and present, an emperor among men. Dead in the end, you still died. You lived an outstanding life, but 4 eras came to an end, and it was difficult to compare. You were invincible and lonely. Shockingly talented, an ancient heavenly emperor, yet he couldn't live forever. The world couldn't tolerate his mistake, and it was only because of you. Everyone sighed. In the end, such a great expert was still obliterated by the passage of time, shattering the last trace of their fantasies. However, Vicious' life was absolutely unrivaled throughout the ages. He used his mortal body to go against the flow and become one of the most powerful characters in the past and present. Is that the emotion of the ancient heavenly emperor? We can feel it. He seemed very calm before his death, as if life and death were nothing much. This was what everyone felt. Although there was a sigh in that emotion, it was more of a calmness. It was as if he had seen through the joys and sorrows of separation, as well as his indifference towards life and death. Perhaps Vicious had lived for too long, and was really tired. Tens of thousands of dragons leaped together, and the ancient coffin was surrounded and worshipped by tens of thousands of giant dragons formed from dragon chi. Only when gales surged could one see the outline of the coffin. With another hurried glance, the head of this heavenly emperor appeared from the chaotic mist in the ancient coffin. His hair was jet black, but unfortunately, there was a mask on his face. It was a ghostly face that seemed to be crying yet not crying, smiling yet not smiling. There was sorrow on his face, but also joy. Perhaps this was his or her entire life. Tears fell amidst joy, and a smile amidst sorrow. No one understood Vicious. He was the most mysterious, and no one knew his or her heart. Perhaps this mask was the only thing that revealed a bit of his or her heart, and others couldn't understand it. In a short period of time, everyone was very silent. They felt a kind of loneliness, as well as the desolation of being at the top. After an unknown period of time, they gradually came back to their senses. Dead, they're all dead. The large black dog heaved a long sigh. Then he actually began to wail sorrowfully and said, Emperor Wuxia is also dead. They're all dead. In the end, not a single one survived. What's the point of cultivating to the end? The Black Emperor revealed his emotions for once, and he was incredibly sorrowful. He looked in the direction of the Purple Mountain and said, Emperor, rest in peace. The last shred of hope was also shattered. Yi Fan was in a daze. There really wasn't a single heavenly emperor that had survived. His hopes for Emperor Wuxia had also vanished into thin air because of the Black Emperor. While a soft sound came from the ancient coffin, and a hazy streak of light flew out. It was as if a dragon was leaping in the chaos, and it was extremely mysterious and mystical. What's that? Everyone was jolted awake, and they stared at the chaotic mist with shock in their hearts. Could there be a living creature in the ancient coffin? AI, Su Ichiong. The youth from the ancient imperial tribe exclaimed in surprise, his expression extremely excited. This was the celestial treasure of the ancient nest, and ordinary people couldn't see it at all. It was already not bad if it flew out once every several tens of thousands of years. The ancient king that was slumbering here had only been fortunate enough to sense it once or twice, but he didn't dare to come and snatch it, and could only observe it from afar. Catch it, catch it. The large black dog wiped his face, and the sorrowful expression on his face disappeared completely. He recovered his greedy nature, and continued to hoot. Su Ichiong Gunali. The youth from the ancient imperial tribe shouted loudly and warned. The monkey revealed a serious expression and said, He said that we definitely can't go and catch it. Otherwise, even if the ancient king intervened, he wouldn't be able to keep his life. The large black dog scratched his ears and cheeks, and couldn't sit still at all. However, there was nothing he could do even if he was anxious. He shouted, If we can't obtain a celestial treasure after entering the crow's nest, we'll really be letting down our 8 generations of ancestors. Ding. He held the ancient sovereign badge in his hand, and continuously struck it. He waved it at the dragon nest of chaos and said, The divine badge of the ancient Saint Emperor is here, hear my call. That light wasn't very dazzling, and it seemed to be condensed from starlight. It was gentle and bright, and it was very attractive. It flew around the ancient coffin, rushing out 9 times, and then entering inside 9 times. In the end, it rushed out, and flew out of the ancient crow's nest. Dang! The large black dog worked even harder, and used his large paw to forcefully strike that ancient sovereign badge. He said, It's really been summoned by me. That light really flew over, and it was like a beam of moonlight descending. The large black dog howled, and stretched out his large paw to catch it. However, with a flash of brilliance, it avoided the large black dog, and with a schwa sound, it entered into the all-chi cauldron above Yi Fan's head, and its divine splendor disappeared. "Brat, this is robbery, you're committing a crime." The large black dog was furious and pounced over. He opened his large mouth to bite, and wanted to snatch a piece of the cauldron. "It has nothing to do with me at all." It flew in by itself. Yi Fan pressed down on his large head to prevent him from being bitten. "Nonsense, I went through untold hardships to summon it here, and you intercepted it halfway." The large black dog was furious. When everything calmed down, the large black dog was at his wit's end, because after this light was taken out, if he didn't touch it, it would fly back into the cauldron on its own. The few of them all crowded over and carefully examined this celestial treasure. There was no one who wasn't astonished, especially the youth from the ancient imperial tribe, whose expression was filled with shock. Yi Fan held it in his hand. This was an ancient scroll, and it was sparkling and translucent, as if it was forged from the essence of the sun and moon. However, it was extremely soft. It was square in shape and was about 1.5 meters tall. When it was spread out, stars would occasionally flash and disappear on its surface. It was light and peaceful, and it was impossible to tell what exactly it was. What kind of divine object is this? The few of them were all puzzled, and after studying it for a long time, they still couldn't figure it out. Could it be an ancient scripture? The large black dog was bewildered. The few of them probed it with their divine senses, but still couldn't find anything. This ancient scroll that seemed to be forged from the essence of the sun and moon was boundless, and there was no end to it. The monkey carefully recalled, and as if he had thought of something, he suddenly revealed an expression of shock, and said, "My father seems to also have an ancient scroll like this. I have some vague memories of it, and he often looks at it late at night." His father was an ancient imperial tribe emperor, and was a fighting saint of his generation. He was invincible, and he actually often looked at an ancient scroll like this late at night. This was really shocking. It can't be the celestial treasure that the emperor of fighting of the ancient era possessed, right? Yi Fan was bewildered. "Similar, very similar. I think it's that ancient scroll." The more the monkey looked at it, the more familiar it felt, and nodded solemnly. F***ck, it's definitely a celestial treasure. Even the emperor of fighting often looked at it quietly, and then it fell into the hands of the heaven-devouring great emperor. Its value is immeasurable. The Black Emperor was almost lying on top of it, and stared at it with all his might. Clang. In the mountain-like crow's nest, the lid of the ancient coffin closed. Then, it slowly sank down, and disappeared into the boundless primal chaos. It has sunk down, no longer remaining in this world, and returned to the primal chaos. Yi Fan was startled. Maybe this was the best ending for the ancient emperors. He let out a long sigh and said, "Let's go, we can't stay here for long." There were definitely more divine items in the ancient nest, but they couldn't get close, so there was no point in staying any longer. The few of them bowed to the crow's nest to express their respect for the ruthless emperor, and then they quickly left. "Su Cheong Delina?" The youth from the ancient imperial tribe called out. He felt that it was inappropriate to bring the celestial treasure away. The monkey explained repeatedly, and he didn't say anything else. Boom. When they walked into the distance, there was a violent tremor behind them. The entire ancient nest was in a state of haziness, and it was completely drowned in primal chaos. Chapter 5:34. Yi Fan and the others turned around and saw that the ancient nest was vast. Chaos surged and completely submerged this place. Everything had disappeared. From now on, there are no more ruthless people in this world. They knew that the ancient celestial emperor had disappeared from the world forever. His life had finally come to an end. No one understood him, no one knew him, and no one knew the little things in his heart. When everything disappeared, only a ghost face that seemed to be crying and smiling appeared in their memories. Sorrow and smile coexisted. Only these revealed the little things in his heart. Yi Fan and the others silently retreated. It was hard to describe the feelings in their hearts. They left the ancient celestial emperor's resting place. After leaving the ancient nest, they started to talk again. The ancient royal youth invited them to see his father, treating them as honored guests. They shook their heads vigorously. They would not go even if they were beaten to death. Unless the monkey grew up and Yi Fan cultivated his saint physique to the great perfection, they would definitely not be enough. Most likely, a glance from the ancient king would be able to destroy them. The large black dog pondered for a long time. He held the ancient sovereign token and tried to get close to the ancient royal youth, asking him to borrow a divine source block. I don't want too much. Just lend me 1 or 2 blocks is enough. The monkey instantly glanced at him. He felt that this dog was too unkind. He did not even pass on a message for him. Monkey, what do you mean? Quickly ask for me. I know you do not lack divine source. When the brat Yi cut you out, you were more cunning than anyone else. You snatched the murderous weapon and even took away the 2 large pieces of divine source that conceal people. You did not even leave a single hair for us. When the large black dog talked about this matter in the God City, he was extremely angry and scolded the monkey. In the end, the monkey passed on a message for him. The ancient royal youth was in a difficult position. Divine source was extremely precious to them, and they did not have too many in storage. The large black dog did not give up. He did not want to return empty-handed after entering a treasure land, so he asked Yi Fan to use an origin technique to find a few pieces of divine source. Yi Fan had already searched seriously, but the few large divine source blocks all had ancient kings sealed in them. It was very difficult to find anything without an owner. They walked very far and stopped in an ancient cave. Yi Fan's heart moved. He felt a piercing pain in his eyes. The cave was resplendent and filled with divine light. Stupid dog, stop tricking the child. Yi Fan called the large black dog over and transmitted his voice, preparing to mine the divine source. Stupid dog, stop tricking the child. He lightly pointed out with a finger, and a giant boulder was broken. The stone surface cracked apart, and dazzling light shone. The entire cave shone brilliantly, creating a divine and auspicious scene. A head-sized divine source block tumbled out. The large black dog immediately pounced over and hugged her tightly in his arms. He hurriedly wiped away his saliva and asked, "Do you have more?" Yi Fan, and maybe we really found it. Yi Fan was a little nervous and excited. He felt that this would be the biggest gain he had ever made in his Genesis techniques. It was because the depths of the ancient cave were even more dazzling. There were quite a few divine origin blocks sealed within, most likely 2 or 3 cubic meters in size. It was about the same size as the great divine origin block that sealed archaic kings. Let me. The large black dog personally used his paw to chisel open the cave. Not long after, rainbow light flowed, and the ancient cave became resplendent. Another large divine source block was dug out, and the large black dog was almost transparent under the light. Spiritual essence surged like a tide. Great luck, great fortune. The Black Emperor laughed foolishly, and the corners of his mouth twitched. It bent down and quickly dug the ground. Not long after, it dug out another piece of divine source the size of a face plate. The golden divine light was burning like raging flames. No, stop digging. Yi Fan was shocked. He used his divine eye and saw a person through the stone wall. However, he was still a step too late. The large black dog cut open the stone wall with his paw, revealing a large divine source block. It was about 2 square meters in size, and it stood silently in the depths of the ancient cave. El Yunani, the youth from the ancient royal family, cried out in shock. Yi Fan and the others felt cold all over, and they hurriedly retreated. They felt a frightening aura, and their hairs stood on their ends. Within the divine source block, there was an old man who was as thin as a stick. He sat cross-legged, and there was no sign of life, but it made one's heart palpitate. His upper body was bare, and he was bony. His lower body was wrapped in a beast's skin. He looked very primitive, but it gave one a terrifying feeling. This primitive old man's eyes were tightly closed, and his eye sockets were sunken. His gray hair was messy like weeds, and he held a bone club in his hand. The most shocking thing was that his whole body was bound by iron chains, and they almost pierced into his flesh. The crimson iron chains shone with light, and it was obvious that they were not ordinary items. There were many patterns inscribed on them. That was definitely a powerful symbol that sealed him, preventing him from breaking out. He couldn't move in the slightest. Who is this? Yi Fan was very shocked. It was obvious that this was a prisoner, and he was very powerful and terrifying. There were no signs of life, and he was almost like a wooden stake, but he was terrifying. Elunani, the youth from the ancient royal family, was very flustered, and he said a lot of words. He said that this is an ancient vicious person who kills without batting an eye and sees life as nothing. He is imprisoned here, the monkey explained. Yi Fan was shocked. He looked at the skinny old man wrapped in beast skin and felt that it was very strange. No matter how he looked at it, he looked like a human and not like an ancient king. Damn, I also feel that he is a human and not an ancient royal family. What is going on? The large black dog was also shocked. Is this really an ancient vicious person? Yi Fan asked the monkey. Oh my Yido. The youth was very excited, and he continuously retreated, indicating that they should quickly leave this place as well. He said that this is a saint of the ancient human race, and he is very terrifying and has killed countless living beings, the monkey said with a strange expression. What? A saint of the ancient human race? Yi Fan almost cried out in shock. This old man dressed in beast skin is a human who survived from the ancient era? The large black dog's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The youth from the ancient royal family nodded seriously, indicating that this person was extremely dangerous, and they needed to leave this place in case something ominous happened. Damn, he is luckier than the ancient emperors, and he has lived for so long. The large black dog cried out in shock and was stunned. Waves of shock surged in Yi Fan's heart. This was a human who had lived for the longest time he had ever seen. He had once asked the Black Emperor and the monkey in detail about how to use the divine source to survive, because seeing that the ancient royal family could seal themselves, he had always been puzzled. Why didn't the ancient human elites do the same? The monkey gave him an answer, and it was all fate. The large black dog's answer was even more detailed. Becoming a living dead person in the divine source was completely ineffective against the ancient emperors, because they were too powerful, and there was nothing that could seal the ripples of their life force. As for the human elites below the emperor level, they would never have that chance. Just like the monkey said, it was all fate. In the desolate ancient era, there were still ordinary pure divine source that could be formed, but the divine source ended in the ancient era. If one wanted to seal themselves in the divine source that had already formed couldn't be used at all. They needed the divine source liquid to fuse into it the moment it formed. The divine source liquid was the essence of heaven and earth, and it gradually went extinct in the ancient era. After the last batch was formed, it could no longer form. In the ancient era, some drastic changes happened, and the prosperous ancient races went into decline. They were also fortunate to have the last batch of the essence of heaven and earth that they could use. They could enter a dangerous place that could form the divine source liquid, seal themselves, and sleep, waiting for a chance to rise again. Of course, it was impossible to have so much divine source liquid to use. Only a few royal families and their most trusted subordinates had this kind of opportunity. Otherwise, in the vast and boundless great wilderness, why were there only a few places like the absolute beginning forbidden zone, the Purple Mountain, and the nest of 10,000 dragons that had the remains of ancient creatures? The weak were prey to the strong, and only a few great royal families managed to obtain the divine source liquid. The rest all returned to the ancient era and became soil. There was no lack of divine source in the ancient era, but the divine source liquid that was forming was very rare. Only the most powerful royal families could obtain it. Now, the essence of heaven and earth had dried up, and it was impossible for the miraculous scene of the ancient era to appear again. Once the divine source liquid was formed, it could never be turned into a divine source liquid. In the past, there were so many ancient races, and they were extremely prosperous. However, it was already not bad for one person to obtain the divine source liquid out of tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of people. The monkey sighed. The human race survived the ancient era's calamity, and the future generations don't need to seal themselves anymore. Yi Fan said after thinking about it carefully. The ancient human experts had long lost the chance to obtain the divine source liquid from the ancient era. As for the great emperors of the human race, even if they could defy the heavens and produce the divine source liquid, it was useless to them. Once they became emperors, nothing in the world could restrain them. That was because they were too powerful, surpassing everything in the world. Apart from the immortal divine medicine that could extend their lifespan for a lifetime, there was nothing else that could help them. Yi Fan pondered for a short while and quickly came back to his senses. There was a primordial human saint in front of him. This was truly earth-shattering news. If he was rescued, it would definitely shake the eastern wilderness and shock the world. In the divine source block, this old man was really too primitive. His skin was bronze and dry. The beast's skin below his waist was mottled with patterns. Upon closer inspection, it was shocking. That was definitely the skin of a powerful savage beast, and it was a very powerful one at that. The white bone club in his hand was warm and crystalline. It was as white as jade, and one could tell at a glance that it was not an ordinary item. It was impossible to estimate how terrifying its power would be if it attacked at full force. However, after thinking about it carefully, Yi Fan also felt relieved. How could the weapon of the primordial human saint be ordinary? It was definitely an earth-shattering divine item. Unfortunately, the old man was bound by the crimson chains and suppressed by the innate patterns on it. He was no different from being dead. This person can't be released. The monkey suddenly said with a frown. But Yi Fan asked. According to what the young man said, there was a problem with his cultivation. He was delirious and committed an endless massacre. This was a human saint from the primordial era. Moreover, he was a terrifying figure whose strength had reached the pinnacle. His combat strength was so strong that it was shocking. In the primordial era, the human race had two supreme divine arts. Once mastered, they would be earth-shattering and could dominate the world. This primordial saint cultivated the true sun art to the extreme. Then, he cultivated the true moon art and wanted to combine the two divine arts. However, because of this, a huge problem occurred. The true sun saint and true moon saint clashed and could not be reconciled, resulting in a huge disaster. He was a god in the day and a demon at night. His mind was delirious and he killed many human experts. He even slaughtered many top figures of other races. It could be said that this human saint from the primordial era had committed a monstrous massacre. Many races fought against him. In the end, the young man's grandfather and his father came together and suppressed this human saint, sealing him here forever. Why didn't you kill him? Yi Fan's heart stirred. The young man was a little troubled and his expression was a little unnatural. The monkey immediately understood and said, "The mystic arts of the various races can be used for reference." I see. Yi Fan nodded. At the same time, he was very excited. This human saint from the primordial era actually had two supreme divine arts. In the primordial era, the human race only had two ancient scriptures. He actually learned both of them and had them on him. However, this also resulted in a huge disaster. Chapter 5:35. The Moon True Technique and Sun True Technique are the most primitive ancient scriptures of the human race. The large black dog exclaimed. The ancient humans first appeared near the forbidden, ancient, desolate land of the southern region. According to the records of other races, they were suspected to have come from beyond the heavens. The ancient humans had two great ancient scriptures that stole the mysteries of heaven and earth. They could be used to cultivate the most fundamental moon saint power and sun saint power. They were mysterious and unfathomable, and their power was unparalleled. Yi Fan had also heard that when the ancient emperors created their supreme ancient scriptures, they received many inspirations from these two most primitive scriptures. This ancient human saint's entire body is a treasure. He's practically a celestial treasure. The large black dog said, drooling. A single drop of blood from an ancient saint could kill a supreme elite of the present age, and the warm and pure white bone club in his hand must be a shocking divine object. Of course, the most important thing was that he possessed the two most primitive ancient scriptures of the human race. They were priceless divine treasures that had been lost for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. And the crimson iron chain that bound his body was also a divine object. It was covered densely with symbols that flickered brilliantly. It was complicated and profound, and could seal an ancient saint. It must be a rare treasure. Yi Fan was also excited. This person was a living ancient scripture. The Sun True Technique and the Moon True Technique, these two most primitive ancient scriptures, made him very expectant. If he could obtain them, he might be able to deduce the evolution process of the human race's inheritance. After all, cultivation had already begun in that era. Although it was a great opportunity for He Shou to take away this ancient saint, it was also accompanied by great danger. If they were not careful, they might provoke a monstrous killing calamity. A Martrich. The youth of the ancient royal family said something loudly, a vigilant look in his eyes. He gradually felt that something was wrong. He said not to touch this ancient vicious person and urged us to leave quickly, the monkey explained. Yi Fan knew that if they wanted to take away the ancient saint, the youth would definitely stop them and even summon his royal father. Let him sleep for a while and then we'll leave. He didn't want to hurt this youth. After all, there was no hatred between them, and he had brought them so far. Pang! The monkey lightly slashed with his palm, and the youth fell down. He was placed on a flat green rock in the ancient cave, and he would wake up in an hour. Whoosh! Yi Fan stored the great divine source block with the ancient saint sealed in it into the myriad chi cauldron. The origin essence chi surged, making him feel comfortable all over. We have to be careful. This old saint is not in a clear state of mind. If he manages to break free, all of us will die. The large black dog muttered. It was rare that they were not fighting over the saint. Yi Fan was shocked. He could feel a terrifying aura pervading the cauldron. It originated from this great divine origin block, as if a barbaric dragon was about to awaken. I need to find a place to bury him after I get out. I can't bring him along with me. He quickly made this decision. Although the two most primitive ancient scriptures were comparable to immortal treasures, they were not as important as his life. When they retreated, they gradually heard the battle cries again. The battle had already reached its climax. It was incomparably fierce and tragic. Crow Taoist. Yi Fan's heart jumped. He saw that old crow in the nest of 10,000 dragons. His body was covered in blood, but it wasn't his. The Crow Taoist was powerful, and he was from the same generation as the Crimson Dragon Taoist. In the current world, he could do whatever he wanted, and there weren't many who could match him. He didn't break out of the encirclement. Instead, he searched in the nest of 10,000 dragons. It was obvious that he had nothing to fear, and he wanted to obtain immortal treasures. The Crow Taoist disappeared in a flash, charging into the depths of the nest of 10,000 dragons, and disappeared without a trace. Nangongzheng Crow Taoist. They definitely aren't the only two. There are most likely others who have also charged in. Luckily we got here first. These ultimate bigwigs were powerful, and they dared to barge into the danger zone. After searching for a while, they would definitely be able to reap great rewards. The immortal godly medicine was a foot tall, and it was rooted in the pile of divine source beside the ancient coffin. Its entire body seemed to be forged from gold, and it was dazzling. Can we use the formation patterns of the Void Emperor to capture the godly medicine? Yi Fan asked. It had 9 leaves, and they floated about like golden clouds. They were very ethereal and very eye-catching. It's very difficult. The large black dog shook his head and sighed. There was a palm-sized small dragon at the top of the immemorial godly medicine. It was vivid and lifelike, and it was dazzling and fragrant, almost intoxicating. It was incredibly alluring. Last time, I almost obtained it, but this time, the difficulty is too great. Yi Fan was regretful. The immortal godly medicine swayed, releasing tens of thousands of rays of light, causing this place to be blazing. The intoxicating fragrance became even stronger. The small dragon hanging from the top actually opened its eyes, and it continuously twisted its body towards them. F***CK, you're provoking me. It's not like I haven't eaten the immortal godly medicine before. I'll swallow you later. The large black dog bared his teeth. The immortal godly medicine rose from the ground, extending its roots above the pile of divine source. The entire plant was dazzling with divine splendor, and it flowed like water, completely ignoring them. This immortal godly medicine is too demonic. Yi Fan was also tempted, and he wanted nothing more than to immediately grab it. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind, and he took out the unknown immortal treasure that he had obtained from the chaos ancient nest, and he shook it forcefully. The immortal godly medicine was intelligent, and when it saw this scene, it immediately released an expanse of blazing light, and hid in the pile of divine source. Yi Fan was shocked, and he released the immortal treasure, flying forward. Swoosh! As if it had been frightened, the immortal godly medicine instantly rose from the ground, turning into a streak of golden divine light, and flew into the depths of the nest of 10,000 dragons. Capture it! Yi Fan shouted loudly. The large black dog had been prepared for a long time, and he quickly activated the incomplete formation patterns on the horn, crossing forward, and capturing the immortal godly medicine of True Dragon. The void trembled, and the immortal godly medicine shone with dazzling divine light, giving off a brilliant multicolored splendor. The entire nest of 10,000 dragons was filled with a fragrance, and there was a rich fragrance everywhere. It actually broke through the restrictions, opening up a golden passageway in the void, directly reaching the ancient nest that was enveloped by chaos, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Damn it, it's too crafty and slippery, and I can't lock it down at all. No wonder it's all controlled by the ancient emperors. The large black dog was vexed. However, Yi Fan was excited, and he quickly retrieved a small white jade cauldron. He used the Xing technique, and rampaged through the nest of 10,000 dragons, collecting the golden divine liquid in the void. It forcefully opened up the great path of the void, and it spat out medicinal blood. The large black dog cried out in shock and rushed over. There were a total of 36 drops of golden divine liquid in the void, and their fragrance wafted into the nostrils. All of the rich fragrance came from them, and every drop was like a golden pearl, shining brilliantly. The dragon fruit of the immortal godly medicine spat out blood essence. This time, its vitality has been greatly injured, and that small dragon has probably lost most of its life. Who told you to provoke it? The Black Emperor laughed loudly. Yi Fan collected all of the golden drops, and closed the lid of the cauldron, and the fragrance disappeared. This was the essence of the immortal godly medicine, and its value was immeasurable. In the past, he had used a portion of the essence of the immortal godly medicine of True Dragon to save the life of a supreme divine king. Let's hurry up and go, Yi Fan said. They had gained enough, and if they continued to stay here, there would most likely be accidents. The few of them used the formation patterns of the Void Emperor to move horizontally, and quickly arrived at the battlefield ahead. At this moment, blood had dyed the cave walls red, and flesh and bone shards were everywhere. Senior, come here. Yi Fan secretly transmitted his voice to the Queen Mother of the West, and then called out to the Wind Tribe Holy Master. Roar. Their roars shook the heavens, and the ancient beings that were infinitely close to humanoid were ferocious and intimidating. They fought in the ancient cave, and the blood of the various lords dyed their long robes. Some grand elders died from time to time, and this place was like an azura field, a tragic sight to behold. Of course, many ancient beings had also died. After all, those that had appeared here were all powerful elites, and none of them were weaklings. All of them had extraordinary abilities. The Queen Mother of the West and the Wind Tribe Holy Master rushed over one after another. With a flash of light, they disappeared from where they had been. Although the corner of the ancient Great Emperor's formation pattern was damaged to an unbearable degree, it was not restricted in this place, and allowed them to leave the nest of 10,000 dragons in an instant. After a short while, their eyes lit up, and they rushed out from the absolute void, arriving in an oasis. What a great disaster! The Wind Tribe Holy Master sighed. I have to return to the Jade Lake to retrieve the Divine City Stone Medallion to save my comrades, the Queen Mother of the West said. I have the will, but the strength is insufficient. After preparing for a long time, I was lucky enough to activate the formation pattern once. I was unable to save those people, and I feel regretful. Yi Fan's expression did not change at all. He clasped his hands in salute, and with a flash of light, he, the large black dog, and the monkey disappeared. He did not need to think to know that this great disaster would definitely shock the world, and he would definitely be pushed to the forefront of the storm, becoming the most popular figure. He did not want to go to the Jade Lake again. He would rather miss the heavenly peach feast that was held once every 500 years and go into seclusion. Let's go to the small town 2,000 kilometers away from the Jade Lake, Yi Fan said, and was going to pick up little Nan Nan. Heading to the nest of 10,000 dragons was too dangerous, so he did not let Li Heishui and the others go with him. Instead, he arranged to meet them at the small town, and they left together. Li Heishui walked up and asked in shock, "Little Yi, you're here. Did you really screw over those people?" "What could I have done? They forced me to do this." Yi Fan shrugged. "Heavens, Yihei, you've really gone too far this time. If those people all die, there will be no place for you in the Eastern Barren Territory," Jianghu said. "They won't all die. Some people still have spare energy to search for celestial treasures in the nest of 10,000 dragons. How can you still laugh? Even if a divine master died, it would still be a great earthquake, and it would cause a great disturbance," Wu Zhongtian said. "There's no other way. The divine master of all beginnings has already been killed in both body and soul." At this point, Yi Fan faltered and asked, "Where's little Nan Nan?" "The old sect master of the Yin Yang sect kept her here, and he did not allow us to bring her out of the Jade Lake." Lu Ko was furious, but there was nothing he could do. What? Yi Fan was shocked. The old sect master of the Yin Yang sect was at the end of his lifespan, and he had gone to the forbidden land of the barren antiquity to find a way to prolong his life. After seeing the emperor of the ancient Hua dynasty turn into ashes, he chose to leave. Yi Fan had killed the saint and saintess of this sect, and he had great karma with them. Now that he heard that little Nan Nan was being kept by them, he was naturally anxious. "Don't worry, they won't dare to do anything in the Jade Lake. Little Nan will be fine." Li Heishui's grandfather got the inside information, so he naturally did not follow them to the nest of 10,000 dragons. He stayed in the Jade Lake with many people with special abilities. With them around, little Nan would be fine. Half a day later, the news of the disaster in the nest of 10,000 dragons shocked the world, and the entire Eastern Barren Territory was shaken. The Divine Master of all beginnings had died in both body and soul, and nothing was left behind. Once the news came out, it caused a great commotion. The Vice Sect Master of the Supreme Sect of the Central Plains, the Divine Master of the Yin Yang Sect, who would soon take over the position of the Old Sect Master, was also killed. The younger brother of the Northern Plains Golden Family Lord, a great expert with boundless prospects, was also buried in the nest of 10,000 dragons, not coming out. The Eastern Wasteland's Purple Mansion Divine Lord was almost crippled, and only his head was left. It was brought out, and his body was beaten into a bloody paste by the archaic creatures. Apart from this, 5 Elements Palace, True Demon Hall, Misty Peak, a total of 6 masters had fallen. Meanwhile, a group of supreme elders had died, and many great sects were affected. Blood dyed the nest of 10,000 dragons. This was earth-shattering news that shook the world. Everyone was tongue-tied, and their hearts were greatly shaken. The world was in an uproar. Everyone was shocked, and no one could remain calm. How many years had it been since such a disaster had happened? So many masters had died at once. What exactly happened? Do you all know the details? Why did so many masters fall? I heard that it has something to do with the divine body Yi Fan. I don't know if it's true or not. When such shocking news came out, the world was shaken. The people of the world still did not understand the inside story, and they were all asking around. Little Yi, you've become famous, and your name will definitely shake the world. Chapter 5:36. This shocking news spread extremely quickly. It reached all the lands through the realm gates and caused a huge uproar. Many great sects were stunned. This kind of calamity could be considered a world-shaking murder case. Many great figures fell, causing a great earthquake in the eastern wasteland. Did you guys know that the archaic kings are about to come into being? Soon, the heavens will change. This world might not necessarily be ruled by the Holy Lands anymore. They can even kill peak holy lords. Those ancient creatures are too terrifying. In the archaic years, they were the true masters of this land. The rumor that the archaic creatures were about to come into being seemed to have grown wings. It quickly spread throughout the boundless land, making many people feel uneasy. Even though countless years had passed, the human race still had some records. Those ancient creatures weren't something ordinary experts could deal with. Rumor has it that this calamity was caused by the holy physique Yi Fan. This child is truly a star of calamity. The two words Yi Fan became a phrase that people often spoke of. Whenever this matter was brought up, he would definitely be mentioned. Heroes are dying one after another. The eastern wasteland will find it hard to calm down in a short period of time. Is it all related to this star of calamity? People didn't know the truth yet. They only knew that it was related to Yi Fan, so they were all discussing this in shock. The blood of heroes dyed the nest of 10,000 dragons. The disturbance it caused was too great. All the cultivators were discussing this topic passionately. Is all of this caused by the holy physique? It's too shocking and inconceivable. Let's wait for the news. If it really is this star of calamity, I fear there will be no place for him in the eastern wasteland anymore. The people of the world were discussing this. Many cultivators were trying to find out the truth, waiting for the holy lands and the top sects to make trouble. Finally, someone from the All Beginnings Holy Land stood out. A supreme elder personally announced that he would kill Yi Fan until his body and soul were completely annihilated. Following that, the Purple Mansion Holy Land, True Devil Palace, Northern Plains Gold Family, Misty Peak, and Central States Yin Yang sect all sent out experts to kill the holy physique. At this point, who wouldn't understand that this calamity was definitely caused by Yi Fan? Otherwise, the great sects wouldn't be so angry and declare that they would kill him one after another. This young man with the surname Yi is really audacious. He even dares to provoke the lords of the various forces. The younger generation will surpass us in time. All of this was caused by a little cultivator. How shocking. He really dares to do this, triggering such a great disaster, causing so many heroes to die. It's hard to believe. The youth surnamed Yi is too terrifying, actually drawing out such a calamity. He's truly a star of calamity. Everyone was flabbergasted and practically didn't dare believe all of this. Soon after, the people of the world discovered an issue. There were people from many great sects who spoke out one after another, wishing to kill Yi Fan, but they all did so in their own names. Up until now, not a single supreme sect master or great power had decided to issue in order to kill him. Those great sects are definitely in the wrong. Otherwise, there's no way they would have endured silently. This is interesting. Could it be that the Holy Lands and those supreme sects have suffered in silence and can't stand on the side of reason? The fire of gossip burned brightly in many people's hearts. They wanted to see the world in chaos, so they tried their best to find out more information. This matter couldn't be hidden at all. There were just too many people who participated in the Jade Lake Distinguished Meeting, so how could everyone's mouths be stopped? Everything was spread out. Only after being forced by the various heroes did the youth surnamed Yi lead them into the archaic king's place of slumber. When the mist gradually dispersed, everyone was stupefied. They could only blame those people for rushing into this dangerous place. Logically speaking, these people asked for it, so they deserve it. However, there is no way they will let the matter go so easily. It's rare for these great sects to suffer in silence like this. The cultivators of the eastern wasteland were discussing among themselves. They knew that these great sects had suffered a great loss, so they were definitely going to kill. In just 2 days, the voices of many experts sounded from the Jade Lake, requesting Yi Fan to confront them and explain the problem clearly. Confront my ass. Just let them stare helplessly and go crazy. The Black Emperor laughed loudly. Yi Fan didn't have any plans to leave either. He cultivated in seclusion in peace. How could he explain these things clearly? He knew how those people felt. They most likely wanted to pull out his tendons and break his bones. Wan Chu, the Z family, the Yin Yang sect of the Middle State, and the Gold family of the North Plains were all going crazy. They officially announced that if Yi Fan didn't come out and explain clearly, they would issue an order to kill him. Brother Blackwater, bad brother, tell your grandfather to protect Darling. Nothing must go wrong. Yi Fan only had this one worry, and he didn't care about anything else. That's right, let those holy lands continue to show off. It's useless even if they shout until their throats break. We won't go. The large black dog laughed mischievously. Don't worry, they won't dare to act recklessly. After all, they are in the Jade Lake, so there won't be any problems with Darling, Wu Zhongtian and the others said. The people from the great immortal inheritances were indeed angry. Yi Fan didn't have any plans to show up at all, and treated their words like floating clouds. He didn't fear the so-called order to kill him at all. If Yi Fan still doesn't show up, we will kill him without mercy in the future. Finally, there was a holy land that was furious, uttering this kind of voice, which spread throughout the entire eastern wasteland. Yi Fan smirked coldly in disdain. He didn't care at all. As long as his strength improved greatly and reached the divine master tier, he wouldn't need to fear anyone, and he could do as he pleased in the world. However, several days later, Lu Ko brought a piece of news that made him frown. The old sect master of the Yin Yang sect had Lu Ko and the others' grandfather pass on a message for him. My life force has dried up, and I'm about to return to the earth. I've long since become fearless. This old sect master was very benevolent when he spoke, and he looked at the little darling beside him. This old thing. Yi Fan immediately became angry. The old sect master of the Yin Yang sect was forcing him to submit and head to the Jade Lake. I'm still very young and Darling is ill. I have the confidence to establish an immortal empire. Of course, destruction is easier than construction. Yi Fan said fiercely. This was the message he had Lu Ko and the others pass on. This old one doesn't have much time left. After death, who cares what happens? I'll wait patiently. This was what the supreme sect master of the Yin Yang sect wanted them to pass on. At the same time, the Holy Lands and top sects also became ruthless and announced that they would issue a kill order soon. The Western Queen Mother of the Jade Lake wants to take the little darling away, but the old sect master of the Yin Yang sect won't let her leave his side no matter what. Jianghu frowned. He doesn't have much time left, and if this old thing goes to the extreme, the successor he chose died in the nest of 10,000 dragons. That's not good. Li Heishui was worried that he would be ruthless to the little darling. Yi Fan stood on the precipice and gazed into the distance. He stood there for a long time before turning around and saying, I'll go to the Jade Lake. No, if you go, the holy lands of Wanchu and Zifu will skin you alive. Wu Zhongtian and the others stopped him. Don't worry, I won't let myself fall into danger. Yi Fan asked the Black Emperor to carve formation runes and head to the old land of Merak to see if he could see the old madman. However, they were disappointed. This land was incomparably quiet. Ancient trees towered into the sky and fallen leaves could be heard. There was no sign of the old madman and he couldn't be summoned. Since I can't invite the saints of the present era, I'll bring the ancient saints to the Jade Lake. If they want to harm me, I'll wipe them all out. Yi Fan was truly angered. He used the little girl's life to threaten him, making him harden his heart. If there was no leeway, then in for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound, in for a pound. They returned to the northern region silently. Yi Fan secretly invited the people of the Jade Lake and told them that he wanted to enter the Jade Lake. Not long after, the Saintess of the Jade Lake appeared and brought a message from the Western Queen Mother to protect his life. Then Yi Fan made great fanfare, fearing that the world wouldn't know about him. He headed to the Jade Pool openly, arriving in this pure land without any fear. The heavenly palace towered on the brilliant golden clouds. It was tall and majestic, dignified and divine. Mist curled around the jade stairs. Strange flowers bloomed and jade grass covered the ground. All kinds of spirit birds resembling golden crows and divine phoenixes danced in the air. It was a magnificent scene. Yi Fan's appearance shocked everyone in front of the heavenly palace. They hadn't thought that he would really dare to come. The younger generation couldn't enter the heavenly palace. The sons of the great sage, the saintess, and the strongest inheritors of the supreme sex all looked over. It was one thing for Yi Fan to kill saintess and sons, but this time, he had indirectly killed some heroes. This shook the entire eastern wasteland. These people all had complicated expressions. Surnamed Yi, you're so cruel. You killed our patriarch. A disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land shouted, his eyes full of resentment. Return the life of our sect master. The disciples of the Yin Yang sect also shouted in unison. Their voices were terrifying. Yi Fan's expression was calm. He didn't even look at them. He walked into the heavenly palace and faced the various heroes. He said calmly, I'm here. Martial uncle, kill him and take revenge for the Holy Master. Our patriarch died too unjustly. If we don't kill him, we won't be able to appease the anger of the world. At the entrance of the great hall, many disciples were shouting, all of them carrying killing intent, shouting into the heavenly palace. Brother Yi, how can you do this? You caused so many seniors to die. This is an immeasurable loss for our eastern wasteland. Great Yan's Saint Sun Xiang Yifei sighed. They were all heroes of the world, heroes of a region. They dominated for thousands of years, but in the end, they died so quietly. Dao Yi's Saint Sun also sighed. Kill him. What are we waiting for? Kill him and offer a sacrifice to the souls of those seniors in heaven. At the entrance of the palace, many disciples of the great sects and holy lands shouted. Shut up. Yi Fan glanced at them indifferently. I'm talking to your elders. It's not your turn to speak. Outside the palace, everyone was stunned and then furious. Yi Fan didn't even put them in his eyes. He actually wanted to be on equal footing with their seniors. Let Nan Nan come. Yi Fan stared at an old man with white hair and beard in the palace. In the heavenly palace, white mist curled around the ground. There were many jade tables filled with fruits and celestial wine. The old sect master of the Yin Yang sect sat cross-legged behind the white jade table. He looked benevolent and was surrounded by mist. He didn't move at all like an immortal. His body flashed, and Nan Nan, who was sitting quietly at the side, was immediately freed. She quickly ran to Yi Fan's side and grabbed the corner of his clothes. Her large eyes blinked as she looked back, afraid that she would be caught again. Are you okay, Nan Nan? Yi Fan asked softly. I'm fine. I just miss Big Brother and Doggy a bit. Little Nan Nan replied innocently. The 2-year-old little guy was like a little porcelain doll. She was carved from jade and extremely cute. You are quite daring. You committed a heaven-overflowing calamity, yet you still dare to act so arrogantly and disrespect the seniors in the palace. Kill him. Seal his soul in the sea, suppressing eye for eternity. At the entrance of the palace, many youngsters shouted. Yi Fan didn't pay them any attention. He didn't even give them a glance and completely ignored them. This attitude made many proud and arrogant disciples furious. This was disdain, undisguised disregard. He was simply looking down on them. You are quite daring. You provoked such a great calamity, yet you still dare to come here. Finally, a hero spoke. I am indomitable and have a clear conscience. Why wouldn't I dare to come? Yi Fan stood with his head held high without the slightest bit of fear. Good. You have guts. The face of a supreme elder from the holy land of all beginnings sunk. Their holy lord had fallen. This was a heaven-piercing matter, and it was impossible for them to be kind. Killing intent pervaded the air within the palace. Many people stared at Yi Fan as formless killing intent surged. You are not allowed to bully Big Brother. Little Nan Nan wrinkled her delicate little nose. Her large eyes were black and white, and her long eyelashes were blinking. She spoke in a soft and tender voice. Uncle Feng said that he will settle accounts with whoever dares to harm Big Brother. The palace was deathly silent. Everyone was silent. Yi Fan was startled. He didn't expect the little guy to be so quick-witted. Chapter 537. A child's words were the truest. What could a 2-year-old girl understand? Perhaps she really did hear these words before, and that was why she said them. Merak's crazy old man was an existence comparable to an ancient saint. He was like a great mountain pressing down on everyone's hearts. Who wouldn't feel restraining fear? The great hall became silent. What does a little girl understand? She's just speaking nonsense. A supreme elder from the beginning spoke. He didn't want everyone to feel restraining fear because of this. He really wanted to pull out Yi Fan's bones. However, no one echoed him. It was better to be safe than sorry. Everyone knew that the old lunatic had walked together with Yi Fan and was already unrivaled in the eastern wasteland. It was rumored that the ancient saints had boundless magical power and were omnipotent. No one could estimate their power and that they were like gods that walked the earth. It was extremely difficult for such a person to appear even in the ancient era. That was why they were revered as saints. All races looked up to them and all generations respected them. The saint must die. Otherwise, it will be difficult to appease the anger of the people. A supreme elder from the Z Palace spoke. This was the second person to speak. However, the others still didn't express their opinions. It was because they truly felt restraining fear that the old lunatic would really jump out. The ancient saint's gaze could destroy all things. A single drop of their blood essence could kill a powerful existence. They could call upon the wind and summon the rain in the ancient world and were omnipotent. Even a single strand of their hair that naturally fell off was like an ancient divine mountain. It was extremely heavy and could destroy a magnificent army. It could be said that the ancient saints were close to deities. Every drop of blood, every inch of flesh, every bone was a supreme divine object. Their strength was terrifying to an unimaginable level. Even with the protection of saints, we still have to be reasonable. This child is vicious and merciless, causing the death of so many people. They are all old friends of ours, so how can we let him go like this? He should be executed. Finally, a powerful existence from the northern plains Huang Jin clan spoke. He sat majestically on the throne and spoke righteously about killing Yi Fan. Central Continent's old Yin-Yang sect master didn't have much lifespan left, but his magical power was heaven overflowing. At this moment, his expression was calm, but his tone was very cold. As a saint, we should be able to distinguish between right and wrong. Killing this child as a sacrifice to the vengeful spirit is not contrary to the saints. Everyone, there is no need to worry. You and I can both kill him. In the main hall, white mist surged on the ground, reaching up to a person's knees. Behind each jade table sat a heroic lord. They were like dormant dragons, and within their bodies hid a frightening amount of blood energy, emitting terrifying fluctuations. At this moment, everyone was moved. Killing intent filled the air, and many people began to speak in agreement. Now, he even dares to kill a saint lord. If he is allowed to grow, he will turn the entire Eastern Barren territory upside down. How can we comfort the mourning souls if we don't kill him? He lured the lords of all sides into a trap and plotted against them. So many people died. How can we appease our anger if we don't kill him? The gunpowder was ignited. Those lords didn't open their mouths, but the elders under them all spoke up one after another, requesting for Yi Fan to be executed. You are all bad people who bullied Big Brother. Uncle Feng will come and save us. Little Nan Nan wrinkled her nose, and her childish words echoed in the main hall. Yi Fan laughed. He swept his gaze over everyone and said, "Why did you all appear in the 10,000 dragon nest? Naturally, it was you who led us there." A supreme elder from the Z Palace shouted. "Who forced me to lead the way to clear my name?" Yi Fan calmly asked. Many people were speechless, and only killing intent remained. And who was the one who repeatedly said that it was a place of great danger and that we couldn't go there? Yi Fan was unperturbed, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. You clearly knew that a great calamity was about to happen, so why didn't you say it clearly and stop everyone? The supreme elder from the 10,000 beginning shouted. Who was the one who slandered me as the inheritor of a vicious person? I tried to stop them, but they tricked me and wanted to kill me. Can you allow me to explain in detail? Yi Fan's expression was indifferent. You are in the right. You caused the deaths of so many heroes, and yet you want to push the blame away. If we don't kill you, the heavens will not forgive us. Someone from the true demon hall shouted. The 10,000 beginning divine leader, the deputy sect leader of the Yin Yang sect, the younger brother of the Gold family leader, the Misty Peak master, and the true demon hall master were all dead. The Purple Mansion divine leader only had a head left, and the various supreme elders had also suffered heavy losses. There were too many important people who had died, and they naturally wouldn't let this matter rest. Yi Fan didn't say anything. He just took out a beautiful piece of jade and froze it in the air. Images appeared inside, as well as everyone's words. Why did we enter the 10,000 dragon nest? What happened back then is recorded clearly. This was everything that Yi Fan had recorded with the divine jade. Everything that had happened that day was quickly replayed, and he was forced into a corner. This caused many people to be speechless. Speaking from their conscience, they had all asked for this. It wouldn't even be an exaggeration to say that they deserved it. No matter what, you have caused the deaths of so many people. You must pay with your life. A supreme elder of the Yin Yang sect shouted. 10,000 beginning, the Purple Mansion, the Gold family leader, the True Demon Hall, and the Misty Peak all agreed, their expressions stern. Your mother, the large black dog muttered. It was so soft that it couldn't be heard, but who were the people present? Many people heard it. Where did this dog come from? Beat him up. The lungs of the Yin Yang sect's supreme elder were about to explode. Shut your mouth. The monkey used the murderous weapon that was about to rot as a large club and heavily smashed it into the ground, releasing a loud dong sound. Now, everyone knew that the ancient king clan was about to appear, and they were all fearful of him. They were really afraid that he would summon a few terrifying kings in the future. Everyone, I have already made many copies of this divine jade, and they have already been distributed to various places in the world. Yi Fan spoke unwillingly and said, if you all feel that I am in the wrong, then let those pieces of jade spread into the world, and let the people of the world judge. Everyone's expression became sluggish. This kind of matter was nothing much if it was spread by word of mouth. If Yi Fan died, the various great sects could casually weave a crime for him. However, if real evidence was spread into the world, it would truly cause many great forces to be badly battered. Yi Fan was fearless. At worst, he would just sacrifice himself and summon the ancient saints to break the seal and slaughter until rivers of blood flowed. The dead are already dead, and the fault does not lie with Yi Fan. Everyone, you should worry more about the situation of the human race after the ancient king clans appear, the Queen Mother spoke. Many people wanted to say something, but it wasn't good for them to refuse the Jade Lake Divine Lord's face. This time, the Queen Mother had made a great effort, and with the Divine City Stone token, she had rescued them. The heavenly palace trembled, and many of the Holy Land's disciples were blasted away. 3 experts walked in with large strides, and all of them were imposing and intimidating. The Peacock King had light hair, and he looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old. He was very delicate and pretty, but his demonic might shook the world, and a single roar could shatter mountains and rivers. Those people deserved to die. They asked for it. This was the first sentence he said when he came in. It was obvious that he had come to support Yi Fan. This was a character at the top of the pyramid. Like Nangongjing, it was very likely that he would break through this realm and enter a higher realm. Beside him, the Green Flood Dragon King was tall and sturdy. He looked like a middle-aged man, and his blood energy was like the sea, very frightening. The other person was even more terrifying. He wore old clothes as if he had worn it for thousands of years. His bronze skin was dry, but he was hale and hearty. This was the Crimson Dragon Taoist. He was already over 3,000 years old, and was half a generation older than ordinary divine lords. He had almost stepped into the ancient king realm, and was someone who could do whatever he wanted in the eastern wasteland. He dared to hunt down divine lords. Even the monkey frowned when he saw him. Last time in the divine city, he had suffered greatly at the hands of the Crimson Dragon Taoist. If I kill you, then I kill you. If you die, then you die. What else do you all want? The Crimson Dragon Taoist spoke coldly, sweeping his gaze over everyone. The 3 world-shocking fiend kings came together, bringing with them a powerful pressure, making everyone feel incomparable restraining fear. Crimson Dragon, it's been 1,500 years. You still have the same temperament, meddling too much, don't you think? The Central Province Yin-Yang sect's unmatched old sect master spoke. If you don't accept it, then come and fight. The Crimson Dragon Taoist laughed coldly again and again, not holding back at all. Treating a junior like this, aren't you ashamed? I will protect your divine body. Crimson Dragon, don't think that you are unrivaled under the heavens. We might have to fight. The old Yin-Yang sect master's lifespan was about to run out, so he naturally wouldn't be afraid of anything. At this time, the Azure Emperor's descendant, Yen Ryu, also appeared at the entrance of the Great Hand Hall. Her black hair was like clouds, and there was a 9-phoenix hairpin in it. She wore beautiful clothes made from mountains and rivers, and she was as pure and holy as a divine lotus. Her style was unmatched, and her beauty was unmatched. However, her appearance made many people's hearts beat intensely, and they had a bad premonition. Everyone knew that the great demons were protecting her, and this represented a kind of will of the fiend race. Regardless of whether it was the Peacock King or the Crimson Dragon Taoist, they could easily borrow an extreme path holy weapon from her. Now, only the holy weapon left behind by the Azure Emperor could be used easily, and there was no need to suppress the so-called foundation. This was the most unstable factor in the current era, and many great sects were deeply apprehensive of it. Greetings, seniors. Yi Fan walked up and bowed. The Peacock King patted his shoulder, and then looked at some sect masters, saying, using force to suppress others, do you think I'm afraid of you? If you don't accept it, then come out and fight. The Northern Plains Gold Clan's lords surged with golden essence energy, and said, what harm is there in fighting? Do you think I'm afraid of you? That's right, let's fight. With so many fellow Taoists here, do the three of you want to disturb the Jade Lake Feast of Peaches? The Misty Peaks people also echoed. In the Great Hall, many experts stood up, and many heroes also spoke. Killing intent filled the air towards the three great kings of the fiend race. The Jade Lake only holds a feast once every 500 years, and every time there is a battle between holy masters. If you don't agree, then let's meet on the life and death battle stage. Wu Dao, Tu Tian, Jiang Yi, and the others of the northern region's 13 great bandits all stood up, and they stood side by side with the Peacock King and the others. Different camps, accumulated grievances for many years, were about to explode at this time, and many heroes were about to get involved. Everyone, why are you doing this? Western Queen Mother advised. She didn't want a bloody battle to happen. Even though the Jade Lake prepared a battle stage every time, she didn't want to see it. Brother Crimson Dragon, it's been 2,000 years, but you and I are still alive. The Crow Taoist spoke, and he seemed to be very emotional. You are also alive, of the old friends from back then, only you and I are left. The Crimson Dragon Taoist nodded, and he was quite emotional. Everyone felt that things were not good. This living fossil was clearly standing on the other side. If they really had to fight on the battle stage, it would be very difficult to pass this hurdle. The Crow Taoist was definitely a terrifying lord. What, you're not convinced? Let's fight. The Peacock King swept his gaze over everyone again, and he laughed coldly. Chapter 538. Peacock King, what do you mean by this? Do you really think we're afraid of you? Do you want to fight? We'll accompany you. There was no lack of people with fiery tempers. A powerhouse from Wanchu stood up on the spot. Their saint had fallen in the nest of 10,000 dragons. Their sex experts were filled with anger. Then what are we waiting for? Let's meet on the life and death stage. Although the Peacock King looked like a delicate youth, he had always been very domineering. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted to kill the wavering light saint. Very well, let's fight on the life and death stage. The powerhouse from Wanchu's side was the late saint's junior brother. He was also a one-legged character. Boom! The heavenly palace boiled as everyone stood up. A peerless demonic king was going to fight a saint. This was definitely a battle of the limelight. This was a gathering that only happened once every 500 years. It was no secret that there would always be such a great battle every time. Saint-level characters are going to fight. This trip is really worth it. A powerful rogue cultivator whispered. A demonic king is about to come out and the supreme experts are going to fight. I'm afraid the sky will be dyed red with blood this time. In front of the palace, many saint children and saintesses' expressions changed. The strongest descendants of the great sects were also excited. I wonder which great characters will take action. It won't be an earth-shattering battle, right? The younger generation was not calm because this was related to their sections. The Crimson Dragon Taoist and the Crow Taoist are old demons who can run amok in the eastern wasteland. Who can contend against them? You're looking down on the Holy Lands too much. There will definitely be 1 or 2 living fossils that can fight against the Crimson Dragon Taoist. They'll definitely jump out. Inside and outside the Heavenly Palace, both the older and younger generations were discussing this matter. Many people were extremely excited. The saint children and saintesses looked at Yi Fan with complicated expressions. He was the only one among the younger generation who could stand in the Heavenly Palace and fight against the older generation. Everything was caused by him. Killing intent filled the air. This battle was unavoidable. Many people's eyes flashed with cold light. They were all lords of their own territories. Once they had decided, it would be difficult to change their minds. They had to fight on the life and death stage. Let's invite the Western Queen Mother to preside over this battle and open the ancient battle platform, said a Saint Lord. The Jade Lake Life and Death Arena was located in the clouds. It was said to never sink and was boundless and indestructible. It could support a sacred lord's battle without having to worry about destruction. The Queen Mother of the West Side, she knew that she could not stop this. The grudges between the two sides had been building up for a long time, and this time, it was only because of the eruption of the situation. Only a battle could solve the problem. I hope everyone can stop here. Queen Mother of the West, please start the battle stage. A mighty cultivator from the Z Palace shouted and stepped forward. It seemed like he was ready to fight. Activate the life and death battle platform at the Jade Lake. The Queen Mother of the West opened her mouth. Her voice traveled through the majestic palace and traveled through the clouds. At the same time, everyone walked out, their battle intent surging like the sea. There were many figures everywhere. The various overlords were like gods and devils as they stood outside the imperial palace. Their blood energy surged out like barbaric dragons. This was a miraculous scene. From the crown of everyone's head, a blood light as thick as a mountain pierced through the sky like a great dragon. The younger generation were all horrified. This was the disparity between them, an insurmountable chasm. Such exuberant blood energy was like a raging sea that could swallow millions of lives. Rumble, the leaden clouds were like mountains, heavy and heavy, pressing down on everyone, making it hard for them to breathe. The thick gray clouds seemed to be pressing down on the ground. An ancient aura was emitted from them, accompanied by a strong killing intent. The Jade Lake Life and Death Arena was a huge martial arena. It was built from cliff rocks and every rock had a story behind it. The surface of the arena was mottled with blood. It was unknown how many peerless experts had stood here and fought a great battle to the death. The vast martial arena stretched as far as the eye could see. Many rocks were engraved with the names of experts, and cracks could be seen everywhere. This place was like an ancient battlefield. Although there were no corpses lying on the ground, the aura of the fallen experts was indelible and could penetrate into one's bones. Those who came here would feel as if they had experienced thousands of battles in an instant. They could feel the aura of the deceased peerless experts. One of the most famous martial arenas in the eastern wasteland. I wonder which experts will dye the battlefield with their blood today. I still remember the Jade Lake meeting 1,000 years ago. The old Saint Lord Lin Tianchong's aura devoured the mountains and rivers. In the final battle, he killed many powerful experts, but in the end, his lifespan ran out and he died here. I also remember that 1,500 years ago, the peerless monster King Qi Zongqiong fought alone against the crowd with his snow-white robe. With just one step, he could prolong his life. Unfortunately, his body cracked in the end and all his efforts were in vain. His blood dyed the ancient battlefield red. Many of the older generation recalled the past. Many great battles had happened here as if it was just yesterday. Those people and events hadn't gone far. The Jade Lake Martial Arena was indeed a special place. Every 500 years, there would be world-shaking battles during the Feast of the Peaches of Immortality. No one knew how many great characters had fallen here, leaving behind eternal legends that made those who had experienced it sigh. The Peacock King roared and turned into a 5-colored divine light. He landed on the life and death arena with his hands behind his back. He glanced at the crowd and said, "Whoever is not convinced, come up here." These words were extremely arrogant. He looked down on all the heroes and wanted to test his sword against the world. "Don't be so arrogant. Others might be afraid of you, but I, Yin, am not." The late Saint Lord's junior brother had been waiting for a long time. He turned into a beam of green light and rushed over. Boom! He attacked as soon as he arrived without wasting any words. His 5 fingers shot out thousands of strands of primordial energy that transformed into a sea of swords. Clang, 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 the sound of the swords shook the heavens. The 10,000 blades of primordial energy were extremely sharp. Each slash had the imprint of the great Tao, and it was as if the heavenly Tao was slashing down. I've long heard that Yetian refined a strand of primordial energy. It really is true. No wonder he is so confident. Everyone was astonished. After that strand of primordial energy was refined, its power was unimaginably great. Each sword and imprint shattered the void. A total of 10,000 great Tao imprints descended. Every single one of them could destroy an archaic divine peak and shake everyone to their bones. The souls of many people outside the martial arena began to tremble as well. Terrifying, too terrifying. He cultivated in isolation for 500 years, yet he actually reached this level. He is truly an exceptional expert. Everyone was shaken, and many people cried out in alarm. The 10,000 streaks of primordial sword radiance produced 10,000 great Tao imprints. They actually linked up together and formed the true might of the heavenly Tao. It covered heaven and earth as it descended, shattering all tangible creatures. It left everyone horrified. Yetian immediately attacked. He didn't want to fight for hundreds to thousands of rounds, so he used his most powerful offensive saint technique to destroy a demonic king. The Peacock King roared and the mountains and rivers shook. If not for the martial arena's protection, many people outside would have collapsed. They simply couldn't stop this sound wave. Long. Stars filled the sky, and every single one of them was even more resplendent than the sun. It made this ancient battlefield seem as if it was about to ignite, and it was filled with a terrifying ocean-like fluctuation. Stars illuminate the clear sky. One of the most terrifying irregular scenes of the ancient era. Many people cried out in alarm. This was one of the Peacock King's heaven-defying methods. He also used it as soon as he came up. He wanted to decide life and death with a single move without leaving any way out. Zheng zheng zheng, every single star was as large as a mountain. They covered the vast and boundless martial arena and collided with the 10,000 streaks of primordial sword radiance. Dong! It was as if the high heavens had been crushed. That place became a land of destruction. Nothing existed anymore, and no one could see clearly. Pang! The great stars in the sky were extinguished, and only primordial chaos lingered about. Everyone was astonished. Could it be that the Peacock King was killed? Shwa! Yetian rushed out. His entire body was covered in blood, and there were many cracks on his body. He had suffered unimaginable injuries. He moved as fast as lightning to escape the ancient battlefield. In the void, the Peacock King stood alone. He released a loud roar, and the enormous martial arena was about to be overturned. The lead clouds were scattered. Yetian cried out loudly. His body split apart in the void, and his head, limbs, and other parts were all separated. He exploded in the void. He originally couldn't hold on any longer, and now, a loud roar completely shattered him. His body and soul were both destroyed. Everyone was stupefied. A powerful figure of a generation was blasted to death by the Peacock King just like that. He stood alone in the middle of the arena. His black hair danced about chaotically, and his demonic might overflowed into the heavens. "I will protect Yi Fan for sure." Whoever is unconvinced, feel free to come up. The Peacock King's voice shook the skies as he stood with his hands behind his back. What kind of spirit was this? There weren't many under the heavens who dared to do this. The outside of the arena was in great disorder. An exceptional figure from the Holy Land of all beginnings died. This was a major event, and it truly left many people stunned. The Peacock King is too powerful. Rumor has it that he has even more powerful trump cards and many heaven-defying methods. Everyone discussed in shock. Li Daoqing, do you dare fight against me? The Peacock King shouted loudly, challenging the wavering light Holy Lord. Everyone was apprehensive. To challenge him in this type of situation, it was clear that he wanted to slaughter the Holy Lord. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. If the two fought a great battle, it would definitely be world-shaking. 800 years ago, they had fought for 3 days and 3 nights without a victor being decided. The entire world knew of this, and it shook the entire eastern wasteland. Why wouldn't I dare? In this type of situation, the wavering light Holy Lord directly accepted the challenge. This concerned the dignity of the great sage. Holy Lord, let me capture this little demon. An aged voice sounded, stopping the wavering light Holy Lord Li Daoqing. Senior brother. The wavering light Holy Lord Li Daoqing called out like this. There's no need to say any more. I'll deal with him. This person was old and clumsy. The skin on his body was completely loose, and his flesh seemed to have dried up. His hair was sparse, and he supported himself with a walking stick as he slowly walked out from the crowd. The Holy Lands really do have living fossils in this world. This is the wavering light Holy Lord's senior brother, Wang Zheng. He is over 3,000 years old, yet he is still alive. 8,500 years ago, he was like the sun in the sky. He had previously shone brilliantly here, defeating all-powerful enemies, and then went into seclusion. Now that he has come out again, it is a pity that he is already past his prime. It is clear that he is like a lamp that has run out of oil, and he won't be able to live for much longer. Now, he wants to display his remaining power. When this elder appeared, an uproar broke out. Everyone was shocked, and they all began to discuss among themselves. Sush. He was like a ghost, fast to the extreme. He silently appeared in the enormous arena, and his turbid eyes shot out 2 strands of essence energy as he stared at the Peacock King. Chapter 539. The martial arena was built from large pieces of cliff stone. The marks of time were carved all over it. It was ancient and mottled, and many Holy Lord-level figures had fallen here. The blood of the peerless experts had long dried up, and not even their corpses remained. However, there was still a strong killing intent. This was an ancient battlefield in name and reality. This elder was like a ghost. He was completely silent as his palm pressed forward. It was as if a ghost lord had descended into the world. Cold winds blew about, and a deathly aura filled the air. The Peacock King's entire body went cold as he sensed the danger. He retreated thousands of zhang away, narrowly avoiding this attack. Pa! The elder played it down. His seemingly ordinary palm imprinted a black hole in the air that couldn't disappear. It remained there, devouring everything. He attacked again. He was like a ghostly shadow, incomparably gentle as he moved through the void. Cold winds howled angrily, and ghostly aura filled the air. However, the destructive power was extremely great. The Peacock King roared loudly. His entire body surged with essence energy. He was like a divine furnace as light shone for tens of thousands of zhang. His blood energy surged like a vast ocean. He brandished his fists with all his strength, sending out 9 barbaric dragons. They were all extremely firm and young, and each of them had a golden sun in their mouths. They surged out and collided with the gentle yin energy. Sila. The extreme yang and extreme yin met. The space between the two silently became a land of light and darkness. A terrifying collapse began, and the formless creation of extreme yang and extreme yin saint power began. A loud bang resounded in the martial practice field, and a terrifying brilliance erupted there, drowning both of them, forming a terrifying scene of great destruction. The extreme yin and extreme yang saint power only appeared for a short moment, but it was terrifying to the extreme. When the two met, all things would be destroyed. Pooh! The light-shaking realm elder rushed out like a ghost. A strand of black blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth as he quickly retreated. At the same time, the Peacock King also coughed out a mouthful of blood. His hair danced chaotically as he broke through the shackles of extreme yang and extreme yin like a demonic god, rushing out of the land of great destruction. It was only the first exchange, but both of them were already injured. It was obvious that they wanted to end the battle quickly, so they both used powerful killing moves. Life and death were decided as soon as they arrived. There was no room for negotiation, and only one person could leave alive. Whoosh! The light-shaking realm's living fossil attacked once again. His palms and fingers were an earthen yellow in color as they descended like mud. He didn't use any shocking saint techniques and simply pressed forward calmly. However, the Peacock King felt a chill in his heart. At this level, this old man had already returned to his natural state. His ordinary palm contained the Alcade ultimate killing technique. That was the terrifying yellow mud hand. Even if you were an almighty being, if you were hit by it, you would be destroyed like a pile of mud. It could be said to be a hand of death. Pa! Sure enough, after the yellow earth hand pressed down on the void, that land of nothingness rotted away, becoming a land of devouring, incredibly ruined. The Peacock King's eyes shone with a terrifying radiance. The nine-headed barbaric dragon rushed out, each holding a golden sun in its mouth. Tens of thousands of rays of golden light poured down like a divine curtain. Pooh! The first barbaric dragon was smashed to pieces by the yellow mud hand, the golden sun in its mouth exploding, turning that place into a terrifying energy storm. Pa! The yellow earth hand continued to descend, turning the barbaric dragon into yellow mud. The blazing golden suns were all swallowed up by the yellow mud, and an inexhaustible amount of essence energy was melted away. The Peacock King let out a long cry. Blood energy soared into the sky, scattering the dark clouds. An exuberant life energy submerged the entire world. This was a marvelous scene. Blood energy shot out from the top of his head like a great mountain, and his entire body surged with essence energy, surging like a vast ocean. It was as if Pangu had descended into this world. Boom! The Peacock King's aura swallowed the mountains and rivers. His large palms continuously slammed forward, forcefully colliding with the yellow earth palm. The sky seemed to be on the verge of being destroyed. A huge peacock appeared behind him, as if it was opening up the world. Primal chaos surged. The Alcade old man's expression changed. The other party was using his exuberant blood energy to force him to use his life force, engaging him in a battle of attrition. The Peacock King was like a divine spirit. His blood energy was becoming more and more exuberant. Every time he brandished his palms, it was as if millions of volcanoes were erupting. His imposing manner was shocking, and he possessed an incomparably oppressive feeling. Boom! Suddenly, the lifeless aura of the Alcade old man was swept away. His entire body emitted a brilliant light that pierced through the mountains and rivers. It was as if he was a god that was picking up flowers. He had finally revealed the supreme technique of the Holy Land, the mixed origin holy light technique. At this moment, this old man became incomparably terrifying. It was as if his blood energy was even more exuberant than the Peacock King's. Divine flames surged out like an ocean, completely submerging the vast ancient battlefield. He was like a god at this moment. Once the mixed origin holy light technique was unleashed, all techniques would be broken. He could collapse the heavens with a wave of his hand. Boom! Holy light covered the sky and covered the earth. Every inch of space was filled with terrifying divine splendor, causing one's soul to tremble. The Peacock King was sent flying by a single slap. Bloody scars appeared all over his body, and he coughed out several mouthfuls of blood. The situation was dire. When I, Wang Zheng, roamed the world unhindered, who dared to challenge me? Little Peacock, you are too arrogant. Today I will suppress you forever. The Alcade old man seemed to have recovered his vitality. He possessed peak strength and was unstoppable. His divine light was like an ocean, destroying everything. Boom! He waved his palm again. It was as if the heavens had reached out and pressed down. The holy light was like the clouds and the ocean, submerging the boundless ancient battlefield. There was simply no way to defend against it. Bang! The Peacock King was once again sent flying. His entire body was covered in blood, and his body was almost rotting. His black hair was dyed red with blood, sticking together in strands. Everyone was shocked. The Peacock King was a peak character in the current era. Even the holy masters deeply feared him. He was a peerless demonic king with few opponents. However, at this moment, he had been beaten to such a state. This was the first time in the past 800 years that he had been seriously injured. A living fossil that had lived for 3,000 years was indeed terrifying. Everyone was horrified. Once he erupted, who could stop him? This kind of person could roam the eastern wasteland unhindered. No one could contend against him. Those of the same generation had almost all died, and only a few remained. As expected of a living fossil-level expert. This kind of terrifying battle prowess is truly frightening. He could look down on the eastern wasteland. Unfortunately, his lifespan has reached its end, and he is about to leave this world. Not many people could live past 3,000 years. At this age, they were monstrous existences. Naturally, they were invincible and terrifying. Unfortunately, lifespan was their greatest shackle. Although their cultivation had reached the peak, they could not live for long. Stubborn resistance. The Alcade old man stepped forward, and the omnipresent mixed origin holy light gushed out everywhere. Any one of his movements could collapse the void. There was nothing it could not break, and it was about to melt the ancient battlefield. The Peacock King let out a long cry and spat out a 5-colored divine light that swept forward. Finally, he temporarily blocked the mixed origin holy light technique. Interesting. You have actually cultivated the innate 5 elements. Unfortunately, you have not reached great success. You will not escape death. The Alcade old man was like a god as he slapped down with his hand. The holy light was like an ocean, once again submerging the martial field. Every ray of light could kill an expert. So much mixed origin holy light was extremely frightening. The Peacock King's innate 5 elements holy light was almost destroyed. There were even more wounds on his body, but the holy light could not get any closer. Within the 5-colored divine light that he spat out, there was a pitch-black stone platform that suppressed all of this. Boom! A wave shook out, and the black stone platform became larger. It was wrapped by the 5 elements holy light and turned into a large seal. It pressed forward and shattered the mixed origin holy light. Precious seal of chaos. Outside the martial field, the Alcade Divine Lord's expression changed as he loudly reminded his senior brother. Last time, he had suffered greatly from this large seal, and his body had almost been broken. Back then, when they were fighting over the 9 secrets in the ancient tomb of Lizho, the Peacock King had taken away that chaos stone and refined it into a very frightening secret treasure. This stone was left behind by Great Emperor Wuxia. Although it is only used as a bed, it is still a precious treasure for other cultivators. The large black dog said in a low voice. Bang! The precious seal forged from the chaos stone collided with the holy light. The martial field almost became a land of chaos. It was a terrifying scene. The Peacock King used the precious seal of chaos to block Wang Zheng's mixed origin holy light technique. The two of them were in a deadlock. This black precious seal is indeed frightening. Even a living fossil has been stopped, unable to take even half a step forward. Everyone was shocked. The two of them collided fiercely. The chaos stone within the 5-colored divine light was as lofty as an ancient divine mountain, sturdy and immortal. However, the chaotic sacred light was said to be able to destroy all techniques. It was also extremely frightening, especially when it was used by a living fossil that had lived for 3,000 years. It could be said to be nature-defying. The Peacock King coughed up blood again, but he did not retreat even half a step. Meanwhile, the face of the Alcade Divine Lord, Wang Zheng, was also flushed, and his body was trembling slightly. Between the two of them, black holes appeared everywhere. It was as if they had arrived at the Great Calamity era, where everything was destroyed, and nothing existed anymore. At this moment, Only the mixed origin holy light and the chaos stone within the five-colored divine light clashed. This precious seal of chaos is too frightening. Everyone was horrified and they all felt a chill. In particular, the divine masters were extremely fearful. If the Peacock King used this stone seal to battle with them, how could they resist? If this kind of divine object was refined every day, who knew what kind of god tool it would become in the future? However, everyone was also very afraid of the Alcade Divine Lord's senior brother. The reputation of a living fossil was well-deserved, and he could definitely kill divine masters without fear. Boom! The Chaos Stone seal clashed with the mixed origin holy light technique. The Peacock King coughed up large mouthfuls of blood again, but he still did not retreat. Everyone knew that if this stalemate continued, it would be hard to say who would live and who would die. Although the Peacock King was coughing up blood, his blood energy was as vigorous as the sea and could be consumed for a long time. Meanwhile, although the Alcade Divine Lord was peerlessly terrifying, his lifespan did not have much left, and he could not afford to waste it. Stop! Stop! The Alcade Divine Lord and the Crimson Dragon Taoist shouted at the same time. They did not want to let them continue fighting. They were afraid that the people on their side would die in battle, and that would be an inestimable loss. The Crimson Dragon Taoist, the Alcade Divine Lord, Nangong Zheng, and many other powerful experts took action, forcibly separating the two and ending this battle. Yi Fan quickly walked forward and took out a jade bottle. He handed the divine spring to the Peacock King and opened the bottle. A fragrance wafted out, and everyone's eyes lit up. The Crimson Dragon Taoist and the Crow Taoist, in particular, had fiery eyes. It was as if they had seen an ancient scripture of a great emperor. The Peacock King drank several mouthfuls in succession, and then he immediately sat down on the ground. His entire body surged with spiritual essence, and his heavy injuries began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. His blood energy rushed into the heavens, and his entire body erupted with radiance. Innate five elements divine light curled about, and the primal chaos precious imprint rose and fell above his head. Yi Fan did not accept the jade bottle and instead handed it to the Crimson Dragon Taoist and the Crow Taoist. The two of them were a bit moved. For him who did not have much time left in his lifespan, this was a precious gift. Crimson Dragon, I actually want to fight against you the most. Not far out, the Alcade Divine Lord's senior brother Wang Zheng spoke. Right now, he had already taken a holy medicine and recovered in the blink of an eye. Fine, I will fight against you. The Crimson Dragon Taoist had swept through the eastern wastelands, so who would he be scared of? He immediately accepted the challenge. Don't go. This old thing won't live for more than half a year. He wants to kill you before he dies. The Crow Taoist stopped him. He really thinks that I was trapped in the holy cliff for 1,500 years for nothing. I will send him on his way ahead of time. The Crimson Dragon Taoist spoke. Everyone was shocked. A great battle began again. The two living fossils were going to take action. This was definitely the greatest battle of the present. How many terrifying individuals could live to 3,000 years old were there in the eastern wastelands? When they were like the midday sun, intimidating the world, even the various divine lords had to look up to them. Now, they reached the peak of their individual power, but they didn't have much time left. They were about to die in meditation. This was a type of sorrow. Since the ancient times, many unrivaled heroes were defeated under the pressure of time. Even if they had great achievements, it was useless. They had no choice but to silently walk towards the end of their lives. Swoosh! The two living fossils seemed to have entered the ancient battlefield at the same time, both of them drifting about like ghosts. Senior brother, be careful. The Alcade Divine Lord transmitted sound. He understood the thoughts of this senior brother who was 1,000 years older than himself. He knew that he was going to die in meditation, so he wanted to get rid of this great enemy, the Crimson Dragon Taoist. Pa! The two old freaks who had lived for 3,000 years didn't have the slightest bit of passion when they took action. They were just like mortals, exchanging a palm. Many people of the younger generation felt that this was boring. They didn't have the demeanor of a peerless expert, and they couldn't see through the mysteries. However, there was no one at the Divine Lord level who wasn't frightened. When their palms met, countless Dao scars flashed and disappeared in the void. This was a confrontation that was similar to a great calamity. However, they were all melted away in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Normal people couldn't see it at all. How terrifying! Yi Fan's heart palpitated. He had cultivated the divine eye, so he could see everything. Pa, bang! The two living fossils' movements weren't very fast. They would attack from time to time, but they didn't use any peerless divine techniques. Instead, they were carrying out a life and death battle. You and I don't have much lifespan left, and we can't afford to waste it. Why don't we decide life and death in one strike? The two of them spoke at the same time. They had the same idea, and they wanted to decide victory and defeat in an instant. Boom! The all-cade living fossil Wang Zhang's withered body emitted a brilliant light that engulfed the entire martial arena. He was like a golden holy spirit. At this moment, he was peerlessly powerful. His body was filled with endless vitality, and his blood energy was like an ocean. The mixed origin holy light covered the sky and was incomparably terrifying. Boom! Endless holy light appeared in the void, forming a golden ancient cauldron. Dragon patterns covered its surface densely, suppressing the great world. He actually used the mixed origin sacred light technique to create the light-shaking realm's black gold sacred cauldron with dragon inscriptions and some method power. There wasn't a single person who didn't cry out in alarm, all of their expressions changing. They felt a type of misconception, feeling a trace of extreme Dao holy might. The old Taoist Crimson Dragon let out a long howl. His hair fluttered in the wind and his gaze was as sharp as blades. It was as if he had 8 arms as he struck out 8 types of seals in an instant. Well, that's the Sky Demon 8 styles, the demon race's most ancient and terrifying supreme inheritance. He actually combined all of them together. Everyone was stunned, their hearts shaken. Their bodies went ice cold, and they were actually about to suffocate. The Sky Demon 8 styles merged into one. The Scarlet Dragon Taoist manifested a scarlet dragon in the void. It was incomparably real, and an ancient aura spread out. The might of the dragon was vast and mighty. The ancient battlefield was about to collapse. If it wasn't for the protection of the Jade Lake's Immortal Tears Pagoda, which contained a wisp of true extreme divine might, the martial arts arena would have long been destroyed. Boom! The two living fossils collided, releasing their most powerful attacks to decide life and death. Black holes appeared in large amounts, as if they were giving birth to the universe. They contained starlight, as if they were splitting the heavens and earth apart. The energy of destruction and rebirth surged like a tide. Eternal instant. It was as if 100 lifetimes had passed, but it was also as if only an instant had passed. Time was eternal, and it was difficult to distinguish. Poof! The Scarlet Dragon Taoist spat out large mouthfuls of blood and flew out from the black hole in the void. His entire body cracked apart and he almost died. Poof! On the other side, the light-shaking realm living fossil's eyes dimmed. His skull cracked open and his brain juices flowed out. His torso separated and he was in terrible shape. Blood dyed the skies red. His flesh became a bloody paste and his bones shattered into snow-white dregs. He was killed by the Scarlet Dragon Taoist. Chapter 540. Dead, a living fossil has fallen. He dominated the eastern wasteland for 3,000 years, but he ended up like this. A legendary character who dominated the eastern wasteland and no one dared to oppose him ended up like this when he was about to die. Many people sighed. A peerless character had lived a glorious life, yet he died in his old age. This was truly a tragedy. No matter how great a hero you were, you would still return to the earth. However, to die like this still made people feel pity. Senior brother. Sacred Lord Alcade was extremely sad and furious. Holy light rushed into the sky from his body as the 108 divine rings covered the sun. My condolences, Sacred Lord. Alcade went up and bowed. After Sacred Lord Li Daoqing saw him, a ray of light flashed through his dim eyes and he said, "In the future, you must kill the red dragon." In this world, no matter if it's right or wrong, it's easy to sympathize with the dead. You don't have much lifespan left, yet you want to use this chance to kill me. I can't sympathize with you. The Red Dragon Daoist's expression was calm and even cold. He stared at the shattered bloodstains and coughed out another mouthful of blood. Although the battle between these living fossils wasn't that intense, one move could decide life and death. It was even more dangerous. The Red Dragon Daoist was also heavily injured in this life and death battle. His body almost split open, but this couldn't harm his foundation. He drank a mouthful of divine spring water and scarlet light wrapped around his body. His wounds stopped bleeding, his broken bones regrew, and his energy recovered rapidly. He stood in the ancient battlefield and his ancient robe fluttered in the wind, causing all his opponents to feel apprehensive. In a short period of time, no one went up. The Red Dragon Daoist was too terrifying. His peerless demonic aura suppressed everyone and no one dared to go up. If they were slapped by this living fossil, their bodies and souls would definitely be destroyed. Ah! The Supreme Sect Master of the Yin-Yang sect had a fake smile on his face. He looked towards the arena and said, "Crimson Dragon, you really are impressive. It's just a junior, is it worth it to take action like this?" At this time, everyone knew that Yi Fan's matter was just a prelude. The two sides had accumulated hatred for a long time and now was just the right time to explode. Wang Yangzhan, if you are not convinced, then come up and fight. The Red Dragon Daoist wiped the blood from his mouth and said, "Crimson Dragon, do you really think that you are invincible under the heavens? Bullying the weak with your strength will only bring about your own destruction." Yin-Yang sect's old sect master gave Yi Fan an indifferent look, and then he stared at the Crimson Dragon, saying, "This child conspired against all heroes, he should be executed here. You want to protect him? Do you want to become enemies with everyone under the heavens? Can you represent the world?" Red Dragon had a cold smile on his face. "If you're unhappy, then come in and fight to the death." The Supreme Sect Master of the Yin-Yang school sneered, "All right, let me try out your invincible technique." He walked forward unhurriedly and entered the training field. A yin-yang diagram rotated behind him, making him look unfathomable. Everyone was shocked. Another living fossil took action. Central Continent's old sect master's reputation was extremely great. He was already more than 3,000 years old, yet he was also about to die in meditation. "Wang Yangzhan, you're still the same." Crow Daoist spoke. He stepped into the ancient battlefield and said, "You want to take Brother Crimson Dragon's life while he is heavily injured?" He was the one who wanted me to take action. Wang Yangzhan revealed a faint smile, turning around to face Crow Daoist. "Brother Crimson Dragon, go and rest. You just fought Wang Zheng to death, so you need to adjust your breathing. I'll fight him." Crow Daoist spoke. "Crow, what is the meaning of this? The Crimson Dragon and I agreed to fight to the death, so why did you suddenly interfere?" Wang Yangzhan's face fell as he asked. "This Dao Grandpa doesn't like you, so I want to kill you. Is that all right?" Crow Daoist was extremely arrogant. He wore a purple gold crown on his head, dark feather Dao clothes flowing with sinister radiance. Outside the ancient battlefield, everyone was shocked. This exceptional demon was tyrannical after all, speaking without any misgivings, worthy of being a living fossil that could rampage through the eastern wastelands. "It's better if I do it." The Crimson Dragon Daoist spoke. "No, I just don't like him, so I have to fight him." Crow Daoist persisted. The Crimson Dragon Daoist roared with laughter. He didn't say anything else, turning around to leave. With a few flashes he left the training field. Yin-Yang sect's Supreme Sect Master's expression was extremely gloomy. He transmitted sound, "Crimson Dragon, I wanted to settle my grudge with you, yet you backed off. What is the meaning of this? You should settle your grudge with Crow first. When my injuries recover, I'll fight you again." The Crimson Dragon Daoist didn't seem to mind at all. Outside the training field, everyone was paying close attention. Now, there were two living fossils confronting each other, the focal point of the great battle unending. Many people were looking forward to it. "Wang Yangzhan, I heard that your Yin-Yang sect's Saint Child and Saintess were both killed by someone. Is that true?" Crow Daoist touched on a sore spot. Wang Yangzhan released a cold snort, not replying. His eyes were filled with coldness. A few days ago, the successor you chose, Yin Yang sect's vice sect master, died in the 10,000 dragon nest. This should be true, right? Crow Taoist ridiculed. Crow, you talk too much. Yin Yang sect's old sect master said coldly. Talk too much? I was just casually asking. Your eyesight really isn't that good. The person you chose has already died, so you really aren't qualified to be a sect master. Crow Taoist laughed loudly. Less nonsense. Let me see how your cultivation has improved after not seeing you for more than 1,000 years. Wang Yangzhan released a cold shout. An ancient mirror appeared above his head. The divine object left behind by the ancient saints, Yin Yang mirror. Someone cried out in alarm. Something's wrong. That ancient mirror is their sect protecting supreme treasure, so there is no way they would carry it on them. This is an imitation, but its power is still great. Someone saw through the real deal. Ding. A precious bell appeared above Crow Taoist's head. It was sparkling and translucent, pure white and flawless like fine jade. It flowed with precious splendor, releasing a drawn-out bell sound. This is a rare divine metal. Just adding a bit into a Holy Lord level weapon is enough. This bell is completely made from this type of divine object. Everyone was shocked. We should also decide life and death with a single strike. We don't have that much life force to exhaust. Crow Taoist chuckled and said. He secretly drank a few mouthfuls of divine spring water. Yin Yang sect's old holy master nodded indifferently. He also secretly swallowed 3 holy medicines that contained a sea of life essence energy. The front of the Yin Yang ancient mirror was scarlet red like blood, while the back was pitch black like ink. Yin and Yang energies flowed about, rising and falling above his head. The two of them took action at the same time. The Yin Yang mirror faced them head-on. Scarlet multicolored light shot out, dyeing the entire ancient battlefield red. Primal chaos wisps curled about. Heaven and earth splitting apart. This mirror is truly terrifying. Everyone cried out in alarm. The Yin Yang mirror produced a blood-colored small world that was hazy and chaotic. It wanted to close Crow Taoist inside and refine him into a pool of blood. Dang! A drawn-out bell sound rang through the jade pool. The pure white jade-like precious bell released a tsunami-like sound wave. The heavens collapsed and the earth caved in, destroying all living things. This was an intense collision. Scarlet multicolored light and bell waves resonated. Heaven and earth splitting aura pervaded the air between the two, making all of the spectators suck in a cold breath of air. Pooh! Pooh! The 2 living fossils both spat out large mouthfuls of blood. A crack appeared between their brows. They were almost hacked apart by the other party, both of them seriously injured. Crow Taoist escaped from that blood-colored small world. He wasn't sealed inside. Meanwhile, Yin Yang sect master also backed up tens of thousands of Zhang, not being blasted into pieces by the bell waves. After this life and death strike, the 2 of them disappeared into thin air, moving through the void. Then, they took action without any warning. Chi! The back of the Yin Yang ancient mirror was pitch black like ink. An abyss was opened up. The power of death surged, engulfing towards Crow Taoist. The pure white precious bell descended like a pagoda, about to suck Yin Yang sect master inside. The bell's walls were full of incantations that flickered with blinding radiance. The two collided. It was as if a flood overflowed into the heavens. The ancient mirror was sent flying, and the precious bell became dim. They were evenly matched again. The 2 of them spat out large mouthfuls of blood. These 2 living fossils both said that they would decide life and death with a single strike, yet their blood energy is so vigorous. After doing everything they could, they still have strength left over to fight again. Quang! A violent sound rang out. The ancient mirror and Wang Yangzhan's yin-yang diagram merged together, forming a tangible great Tao. A yin-yang world was produced. Yin-yang life and death reincarnation world. Many Holy Lord level figures shivered inwardly. This old sect master was too terrifying, displaying legendary methods. Gua! Crow Taoist released a crow cry. The space between his brows shone with golden light. A 3-footed golden crow rushed out, merging with the divine bell. On its surface, there were tens of thousands of incantations. Every single ancient character revived, producing a divine bell world. One could clearly see that on the ancient Great Earth, giants moved about, barbaric dragons roaming about. 3-footed golden crows moved through the sky, incomparably powerful. The divine bell rang out. The ancient desolate world inside began to tremble. 10 golden crows took to the skies, wreaking havoc in this heaven and earth great world. They collided ferociously. The savage world inside the divine bell and the Tao force produced by the yin-yang mirror fiercely clashed. Eternal radiance submerged the ancient battlefield. The great desolate world and yin-yang life and death reincarnation world devoured each other. Endless black holes connected together. There were also cracked great Tao imprints arranged in the void. Nothing existed between these two living fossils. Everyone was horrified. This type of confrontation was too terrifying. Even holy lords would die if they entered, turning into a bloody paste. These are living fossils. Even though they are going to die in meditation, in their final moments, they can overlook the eastern wastelands, rarely meeting opponents. Yin-yang sect master fell out. His hair was disheveled, and his entire body was covered in bloodstains. His body was almost smashed into pieces, and many areas revealed deep white bones. On the other side, the crow Taoist wasn't much better off. Crow feathers filled the sky, and many cracks appeared on his body. Blood was everywhere. You too, let's end this in a draw. Don't fight anymore. Jade Pool Western Queen Mother spoke. The Crimson Dragon, Green Flood Dragon King, Yin-yang sect, and others rushed into the martial arena one after another. They each protected a living fossil, separating the two individuals. All right, let's end this in a draw. Yin-yang sect master nodded. The crow Taoist drank a large mouthful of divine spring water, and then he said shamelessly, "I haven't fought enough yet." A fragrance wafted out. Everyone smelled it, and they naturally knew that it was the precious life liquid. They all became speechless. Heng! Yin-yang sect master released a cold snort. He walked out with large steps, withdrawing from the battlefield. Wang Yangzhan, are you scared? I feel like we can still fight another 300 rounds. Let's fight another round. The crow Taoist calmly shouted. Things had already reached this point. This battle had come to an end, and it was impossible to continue. Everyone withdrew from the ancient battlefield. Everyone was momentarily silent. Several living fossils had taken action one after another, so who dared to enter? Yi Fan's heart jumped. The Crimson Dragon and Crow Taoist were both injured, but there seemed to be 1 or 2 living fossils among the Holy Lands. However, he wasn't too worried. If he was forced into a corner, he could just bring out the archaic saints. At worst, he would just pierce through the sky. At this time, the Green Flood Dragon King of the 13 Great Bandits stood out. He didn't say anything, and with a jar in his hand, he swept his eyes over everyone. Many people had the urge to curse out loud. That was Tu Tian's heaven-devouring evil jar, and he had borrowed it. With this sex artifact in hand, who dared to provoke him? Let's stop here. Everyone here is a hero of this world. If you all fall, it will be a great loss for the entire Eastern Wasteland. Western Queen Mother mediated. At this point, there really weren't many people who were willing to continue fighting. They were all apprehensive of each other. Half a holy weapon as well as the living fossil-level existences were all uncertain factors. Of course, what made people even more uneasy was that Yen Ryu was here. If the Azure Emperor's holy weapon was brought out, then it would be a great disaster. Then let's just kill this child. Yin-yang sect master spoke. Behead your mother. Yi Fan had long since found this old fellow displeasing to the eye. His words were full of obscenities, and this was the first time he cursed like this. He looked over provocatively. The Yin-yang sect's people were so angry that they all rushed over. Reporting to Western Queen Mother. More than 10 Jade Lake beauties flew over from the Pure Land and arrived outside the martial arena above the clouds. What happened? Western Queen Mother calmly asked. An archaic creature has come to visit. A white-clothed beauty spoke, revealing this kind of earth-shattering news. What? Everyone cried out in alarm. They were incomparably shocked. Looking at its appearance, it is indeed an archaic creature. It claims to have come from the absolute beginning forbidden region and wants to enter the Jade Lake. That female disciple replied. No one could remain calm. An uproar broke out, and no one wasn't shocked. Chapter 541. An archaic creature has really appeared, and he actually wants to enter the Jade Lake. Everyone couldn't help but feel shocked. Did he not explain where he came from? Someone asked. I don't know. He can only tell us after coming in and seeing the Queen Mother, the Jade Lake beauty replied. Everyone, don't fight to the death. Now that an archaic creature has appeared, we still don't know what kind of disaster it will bring, the Queen Mother said to everyone. Everyone didn't say anything. Everyone's hearts were heavy. The future was unpredictable. They thought about those archaic kings who could summon the wind and summon the rain. They were comparable to ancient saints. Was such an existence going to appear again? If it reappeared in the world, the master of this land would most likely change. Perhaps only a few undying inheritances who wielded extreme holy weapons would have some confidence. Everyone conversed briefly before heading towards the heavenly palace. It was impossible for them to continue fighting now. Along the way, the people of the Yin-Yang sect were burning with anger. They wanted nothing more than to skin Yi Fan alive. Just now, he had contradicted the old sect leader like that, making everyone extremely angry. What are you looking at? I've never seen such a handsome uncle before. The large black dog bared his teeth. Although the people of the Yin-Yang sect were furious, they had no way to bicker with a dog. Otherwise, if they argued with it, they would definitely become a laughingstock. The various leaders returned to the heavenly palace. Yi Fan sat at the end, while the others of the younger generation could only stand at the entrance of the main hall, waiting and watching. Not long after, a powerful creature flew over and followed behind the disciples of the Jade Lake. It stepped on clouds and entered the main hall. It really is an archaic creature. Many people cried out in surprise. For most of them, it was the first time they had seen an archaic creature. This humanoid archaic creature was more than 2 meters tall. It was extremely sturdy, and its entire body was covered in fine silver scales that flowed with brilliance. Its face was also like this. It had a pair of wide silver wings, as if it was carrying 2 snow-white heavenly blades on its back. It was robust and powerful, and its silver hair fell like a waterfall. There was a jade horn between its brows that curved like a horned dragon. It was more than a foot long and sparkling and translucent. In addition, there were 2 small heads on its broad shoulders. One was a wolf's head, and the other was a crocodile's head. Both were covered in fine silver scales. Maggot! The primordial creature came to the hall, raised its head, and spat out such a sentence. What is he talking about? Everyone looked at each other, confused. You've even forgotten the common language of the ancient era? It seems like too much time has passed and humans have forgotten too many things, the ancient creature said in the human language. In the archaic era, the human race also spoke these words? Many people were shocked. The human race is one of the creatures of the archaic era. If they want to survive, they naturally have to use this divine language, the ancient creature said. Divine language? A few people were lost in thought. There seemed to be some records in some ancient texts. This is the language of the ancient gods, shared by all races. Otherwise, if every race had their own language, how could they communicate? The ancient creature said indifferently. There were humans in the archaic era as well, but they were few in number. Moreover, it had been too long, and many things of the past could no longer be recalled, forever becoming the past. My name is Gu Daoya. This time, I'm only here to deliver a letter, he said coldly, and handed a beast-skin scroll to a grand elder of the Jade Pool. What letter? After receiving it, the Queen Mother of the West frowned. The characters on it were like phoenixes and dragons, and couldn't be recognized. She handed it to the other lords, and everyone was stunned. This was an archaic language, and no one could recognize it. The human race has forgotten the past, even giving up on the divine language. Could it be that they don't cultivate the Sun Saint Force and Moon Saint Force anymore? The primordial creature named Gu Deoya was surprised. Millions of years have passed, and no one in the world can recognize these ancient characters. Please read it out, a grand elder of the Jade Pool said. The human race has two shocking ancient scriptures that evolved and explained with divine language. Could it be that they've been lost? They've really completely forgotten about them, Gu Deoya mocked. No one argued with him. In reality, the descendants of the archaic era were the ones who shone brilliantly. The great ancient emperors were born, and they created their own supreme ancient scriptures one after another. Gu Deoya didn't waste any time. He opened the beast skin scroll and read it out in front of everyone. Everyone couldn't calm down. The primordial creature was really going to be born. However, the time period was very broad. In 1 to 5,000 years, the slumbering kings would definitely all return to the earth. What made everyone feel slightly relieved was that the primordial creatures didn't want to start a war with the human race. It was written very clearly in the letter. Just like before the archaic era, the myriad races coexisted. Of course, there were many secrets passed down from the archaic era. Although the myriad races coexisted, there would still be wars between races from time to time. This was definitely unavoidable. It's a pity that this isn't the era of the great emperor. Otherwise, if the human race had a great emperor living in this world, even if the primordial creatures came out, they would have to bow their heads. Many people had such a thought and sighed inwardly. They knew that there would definitely be many conflicts in the future, and there might even be bloody battles. At the entrance of the Great Hall, the younger generation all revealed shocked expressions. There would most likely be a storm of blood in the future. They were born in such an era, and they might have to fight against the primordial creatures. It could be predicted that in such a great era, incomparably great existences would definitely be born. They would step on the corpses of the myriad races and ascend to the peak, but they might not necessarily belong to the human race. Perhaps, there would be humans comparable to the great ancient emperors. At the end of the Beast Hide scroll, it mentioned that the territory occupied by the human race was too vast. The primordial creatures needed to obtain a portion of the territory when they appeared. How large of a territory do you all want? Everything within a radius of 100,000 li where the primordial king slumbers belongs to us, Gu Deoya said. Everyone fell into deep thought. They didn't know how many primordial races there would be. If there were only a few, or even a few dozen, it wouldn't be considered much. After all, this land was too vast. Sometimes, it was hard to even see signs of human habitation within 1,000,000 li. After thinking about it carefully, the other places were easy to deal with. Only the absolute beginning forbidden area had a radius of 100,000 li, and it was the source mining area of the various holy lands. It was also the place with the most source resources in the world. If they retreated and gave up this place, the various holy lands would truly be unwilling. Their hearts would even bleed. Are you from the absolute beginning ancient mine? Shi Wangmu asked. The primordial creature shivered when he heard this and said, I'm only delivering a letter for the king of the absolute beginning forbidden area. It has nothing to do with the unparalleled existence in the ancient mine. Everyone was stunned. The primordial creatures were also very afraid of the ancient mine. This was even more horrifying. The monkey had once said that only the primordial emperors and the lords of the royal families could enter the ancient mine. The others were not qualified to even take half a step inside. I heard that there is a meeting of the human race in the Jade Pool. My king sent me here to deliver a letter. Gu Deoya said. This letter was for all the human race's powerhouses. He was more or less arrogant. The blood of the primordial royal family flowed in his body. Even though it wasn't very pure, he still had a sense of superiority as a superior. However, when he inadvertently discovered the monkey, he was shocked. The jade horn between his brows flowed with brilliance as he sensed something. You are the battling Saint Ape? Gu Deoya was shocked as he sensed a familiar aura. The monkey was rather calm. He sat there cross-legged and didn't express anything. When the old Saint Emperor passed away, he left behind a son and a younger brother. You're the Saint Prince. Gu Deoya almost knelt down. The Emperor of Fighting was the last ancient emperor of the primordial era. He was invincible in the heavens and earth, respected by all races. He was a god that all living beings had to worship. The monkey's identity was shockingly great. He was the only son of the old Saint Emperor of Fighting and was a true Saint Prince. Gu Daoya thought about it and immediately knelt down. "Greetings, Saint Prince. My father has already passed away millions of years ago. What ancient emperor? I'm just a member of the royal family now." The monkey waved his hand. The old Saint Emperor was unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. Even though he passed away long ago, no one will forget him. Gu Daoya was rather respectful towards the monkey. In the main hall, everyone else was shocked. They didn't expect the monkey's background to be so great, and they were even more fearful. The monkey thought about it and pointed at the people of the Yin Yang sect. "Be careful of them and those people." As he spoke, he pointed at the people of the Holy Land of All Beginnings. These people were stunned for a moment, and then they were all furious. This monkey was too dishonest. He was obviously trying to make things difficult for them. He was too immoral. "Get closer to them." The monkey pointed at Yi Fan and the others. Gu Daoya was only in charge of delivering the letter and didn't stay for long. He left, but everyone found it hard to calm down. In the next 5,000 years, the ancient races would all come into being, and the land would not be peaceful anymore. Even though some people didn't want to let Yi Fan go, the Red Dragon Taoist, the Peacock King, and the others were so powerful that no one dared to provoke them. Moreover, the Queen Mother of the West had said that the Jade Pool was protecting Yi Fan, so he couldn't be blamed for the tragedy of the nest of 10,000 dragons. A huge storm was over, but it was hard to say what would happen after Yi Fan walked out of the Jade Pool. Everyone knew that the Jade Pool wanted everyone to help seal a few Stone Kings at the Feast of Peaches of Immortality this time. At the same time, during the Stone Appreciation Festival, all sects could display strange stones and sell them here. "Senior Red Dragon, I'll give you a ripe mortal essence fruit." Yi Fan smiled as he passed through the Jade Pool's heavenly stone palace. What? The Red Dragon Taoist was shocked. A mortal essence fruit could extend one's lifespan by tens to hundreds of years. It was a peerless treasure. "It's definitely more mature than the previous ones." Yi Fan smiled. He went directly to the pile of strange stones in the Holy Land of All Beginnings, threw down 5,000 kilograms of pure source, and took one of the stones. The expressions of those from the Holy Land of All Beginnings changed, but they couldn't stop him. That was because all the stones in the Heavenly Stone Palace had a price tag and were ready to be sold. As long as they left the pure source, they could take the materials themselves. Mortal essence fruit. Oh heavens, a mortal essence fruit. Everyone cried out in surprise. A fragrance wafted out, and the older generation all gathered around, their eyes filled with passion. A ripe mortal essence fruit is about to transform into an earth fate fruit. This is a priceless immortal treasure that can extend one's lifespan by 100 years. Everyone was dumbfounded, and only the faces of those from the Holy Land of All Beginnings turned green. 5,000 kilograms of pure source was sold for a mortal essence fruit. A supreme elder almost smashed his head against the wall. Only now did people remember Yi Fan's other identity. He was the successor of the Yuan Taoist master, a guest of honor for those who didn't have much life force left. Many people revealed complicated expressions and sighed inwardly. They were incredibly jealous of the Crimson Dragon Taoist's harvest. Yi Fan came to the pile of strange stones in the Yin Yang sect, and after searching for a long time, he shook his head and sighed. He threw down 15,000 kilograms of pure source and picked up a piece of useless stone. He cut it open in front of everyone, and brilliant light shone. A piece of divine source the size of a face tumbled out and hung in the air, illuminating the entire sky in a dazzling manner. It's a pity that it's not some immortal treasure, so I can't give it to Senior Peacock King as a gift. Yi Fan sighed. Beside him, everyone was driven mad. Such a large piece of divine source was worth 5,000 kilograms of pure source, and he actually said such a thing. He really deserved to be struck by lightning. Many people silently cursed and cursed him. In the end, something even more infuriating happened. He casually tossed such a large piece of divine source to the large black dog. The Black Emperor caught it in his arms, grinning from ear to ear as he chuckled foolishly. F***ck, what a waste of a heavenly treasure, throwing it to a dog. The people of the Yin Yang sect were so angry they wanted to vomit blood, but there was nothing they could do. Their supreme old sect master was also searching for treasures in the sky, and coincidentally saw this scene. Veins bulged on his forehead, but he endured it in the end. I clearly found an origin technique grandmaster to take a look, and it was a useless stone. How could such a large piece of divine source be cut out? The people of the Yin Yang sect were extremely angry. Little Yifan, you can't be biased. Li Heishui, Jianghu, and the others' eyes lit up, and they all surrounded him. I'll look again. Yifan strolled around nonchalantly. Archaic spirit medicine, now extinct, worth 300,000 kilograms of pure source. Soon, there were cries of surprise again, and everyone stared at Yifan's group. In the distance, Ouyang Yi and a few people from ancient origin technique families sighed in anger. This brat is still far from becoming an origin technique master, but now that he has mastered the Yuan Taoist master's forbidden celestial technique, he can see source many times more accurately than us. Is it the saint technique that forms the 6 seals for celestials? That's right. The people from the ancient origin technique families coveted it, but there was nothing they could do. Trying to steal the origin heavenly book was purely courting death. Another piece of divine source. Many people exclaimed. Yifan cut out the second piece of divine source today from the strange stone pile in the Purple Mansion's sacred land. It was worth 250,000 kilograms, and he gave it to Li Heishui. Many people were going crazy. It was unbelievable and infuriating that he could casually pick up divine treasures as if he was taking a stroll. No wonder the Yuan Taoist master can make the sacred lands turn green in the face. No one can do anything about this. As long as there is a divine item, it can't escape his eyes. Someone sighed. He wanted to grab Yifan and ask him to help choose a stone. Unfortunately, there weren't many people who could ask him to help. There was no hope for the sacred lands. Moreover, what was even more outrageous was that Yifan kept wandering in front of the strange stone pile. They gritted their teeth, but there was nothing they could do. An immortal flower. Everyone exclaimed. Around noon, Yifan cut out a strange flower from the primordial era. It was said that it could make one forever young. It wasn't very attractive to male cultivators, but to many women, it was undoubtedly a divine treasure. It immediately caused a sensation, and many people gathered around. Even the saintesses were no exception. There are actually 2 twin immortal flowers. Many people cried out. Yifan thought about it and turned his head to look. Among the women in the imperial palace, there were only 2 whom he was familiar with and friendly with. He smiled and sent them out. One was given to the demon race princess Yen Ryu, and the other to the Jade Lake Saintess. The 2 couldn't contain their joy. All women loved beauty. This kind of immortal flower had to be consumed immediately after being cut out. It couldn't be stored for long. Yifan didn't want to waste it. Amidst the envy, the immortal flower had an owner. All the female cultivators revealed murderous gazes. Yao Shi, the saintess of all beginnings, and the others wanted to go over and ask for a petal, but in the end, they could only endure. Several days later, the Jade Lake carefully protected a few stone monarchs and asked for help from eccentric people. Among them, there was a stone that was the strangest. It was dazzling and multicolored, emitting powerful life energy waves. Yifan activated his divine eye and was astonished after careful observation. There was actually a snow-white, sparkling egg sealed inside. It was incomparably mysterious. This stone monarch is becoming more and more active. It almost passed through the void several times. If not for the Immortal Tears Pagoda suppressing the Jade Lake, it would have disappeared long ago. Western Queen Mother sighed. Boom! When a few eccentric individuals tried to seal it, this stone king shot out rays of light that rushed into the heavens. Auspicious colors shone in tens of thousands of streaks. The monkey turned pale with fright. The egg inside the stone monarch was snow-white and sparkling. It actually shone through the stone and reflected its true form. On the snow-white eggshell, there were thousands of divine lights and all kinds of patterns. Those were the imprints of the race's inheritance. Heavens, the undying heavenly emperor really exists. He's not a legend. The monkey finally confirmed something and almost jumped up. He was incomparably excited. He stared at this stone monarch and wanted to touch it, but then he retreated with trembling fingers. Chapter 542. Heavens, is this a celestial egg? Everyone cried out in shock. This strange rock was as large as a millstone. The seal had long since disappeared, and it couldn't suppress it at all. It trembled lightly. There was an egg inside, mysterious and unfathomable. It came out through the wall, and its shape was clearly engraved in the void. Tens of thousands of auspicious lights flowed out. In the domain of origin, many divine objects would have a stone flying immortal scene before they were born, reflecting part of the true scene. This stone king was obviously different. At this moment, it was almost transparent, and everything inside could be seen. It was far from a normal stone flying immortal scene. It had powerful life fluctuations. Could this be the only egg left behind by a true dragon in this world? Someone made this guess excitedly. Divine flames are like a tide. Look, the brilliance is burning like fire. This is very much like the egg of the undying phoenix bird. It's no different from the legends. Someone said in shock. Within the strange rock, the egg was as large as a bowl. It was perfectly round and dazzling, and it exuded a mysterious aura. All kinds of patterns of the great Tao appeared from time to time, but they always flashed and disappeared. In this short instant, it had already changed into all kinds of colors. The auspicious splendor was endless, and it continuously swallowed and spat out innate essence qi. This is a divine object. Perhaps this really is an egg left behind by a true dragon or a phoenix. Perhaps it really is a celestial treasure. There are many legends in the world, and not all of them are fake. No one could remain calm. They were all discussing excitedly. This stone king was extremely mysterious, and there was no way to determine its origin. The monkey muttered continuously. Unfortunately, no one could understand the archaic language, so they didn't know what he was saying. Ai, denai? The large black dog joined in the fun, and said a few words in the archaic language that he wasn't familiar with beside the monkey. This rock has appeared, and it actually exists. The jade pool definitely can't protect it. If it isn't sent away, it will cause a great disaster in the future. The monkey made this judgment. It really has such a great origin? Why does it look so familiar? The large black dog was suspicious. He circled around this rock a few times, and suddenly raised his head. The light in his eyes flickered, and he muttered to himself, "That rotten rock in the corner? What are you muttering about?" Yi Fan asked. The Yuan Taoist master is also not a good person. The large black dog cursed. Then, it seemed to think of something and asked a grand supreme elder of the Jade Lake, "What's the origin of this stone king?" For the sake of Yi Fan, the people of the Jade Lake didn't care about this dog. If they wanted to ask Yi Fan to help them, they had to explain the origin of the stone. In the past, the Yuan Taoist master gave the Jade Pool 3 stone kings. This is one of them, and it's the most peculiar. Damani! The large black dog gritted his teeth and spat out a string of curses in the ancient language. "What are you talking about?" Li Heishui asked. The large black dog's expression darkened, and he refused to speak no matter what. He continued to stare at the stone king, occasionally tapping it once or twice. The Jade Lake didn't want the egg of this stone to come into being. She wanted to ask people to seal it, but all the people with special abilities had tried, and no one had succeeded. Unless we use the 6 seals against celestials, we won't be able to seal it at all. The people of the origin technique ancient family made this judgment, and at the same time, they looked at Yi Fan. Hearing this, the people of the Jade Lake immediately understood, and the others also revealed strange expressions. This was the supreme divine technique of the Yuan Taoist master, and only his inheritor could use it. The 6 seals against celestials is a supreme origin technique that can seal mountains, rivers, the earth, the sun, the moon, and the galaxy, and it can suppress supreme experts. However, it hasn't been perfected yet. Yi Fan shook his head, indicating that he could only use the 2 seals against celestials, and it was impossible for him to use the 6 seals. He was close to the level of an origin technique ancient family, which meant that he could use the supreme origin technique. As long as he had the chant, he would definitely succeed. Origin techniques need to be developed, and we can't keep them to ourselves. We can study the ancient scriptures together, another person of the origin technique ancient family said, finishing the last sentence for Ouyang Yi. For the Jade Lake, we are willing to do our best to explore a perfect plan together. The others also nodded. Yi Fan smiled and said indifferently. He recited the deduction of the 3rd seal of the 6 seals against celestials, so that the others could ponder and think about it. That's all. It's too little. How can we deduce it? It's impossible. The people of the origin technique ancient family all wanted to get the Book of Source Heaven. To them, this ancient scripture was as important as the secrets left by the ancient emperors. Ouyang Yi wanted to snatch it even in his dreams, but he didn't dare to go too far, for fear that the monkeys would tear him apart. He could only say to the people of the Jade Lake, "It's too simple, and I can't deduce it." Yi Fan sneered and said, "And this is part of my deduction. The original text is even more difficult than this. As I said, this kind of origin technique doesn't exist, and it needs to be developed and perfected by later generations." Buzz. The strange stone shook violently, and 9 beams of divine light shot out. The imprints on the egg were revived, and all of them were imprinted in the void, emitting terrifying waves. Dong! A mysterious aura spread out of the Jade Lake, and the light pierced through the heavens. If it wasn't for the Immortal Tears Pagoda's suppression, it would have pierced through the sky. Sovereign blood. Thousands of miles away, an ancient creature walked out of a cave and gazed at the Jade Lake with a shocked expression. This pattern, this inheritance imprint. He was in a daze, feeling that it was very similar to a certain record in an ancient legend. I have to report this to the king. He flew away quickly. In the Jade Lake, many people were shocked and didn't know what was going on. The monkey said solemnly, "Send this egg away as soon as possible. Once the waves spread, an ancient king will definitely come to claim it." What? Ancient beings will covet it? Everyone's expression changed. In the following days, many people with special abilities worked together to seal the 3 stone kings, and it took a lot of effort. One had to admit that the lineage of the origin king was very powerful. He sealed one of the stone kings by himself, and it was guaranteed that it wouldn't come out for a long time. Yi Fan sealed half of the stone kings. His origin techniques were profound, but he hadn't reached the level of an origin master yet. He only managed to seal this stone with the help of a special ability. The ancient families of the origin techniques worked together to seal 1 stone king, and the Jade Lake was very satisfied and expectant. In the next few days, the Black Emperor held the ancient sovereign token and stood guard beside the strange stone that contained the celestial egg, mumbling to himself. "Did you sense the ancient sovereign token? We come from the same source." Yi Fan was completely speechless when he heard this. What was this stupid dog thinking? Did he want to steal this strange stone? Don't try to do that. Don't cause trouble. F***ck, this stone has always been fated with me. Back then, it was something that was thrown in a corner along with the ancient sovereign token. The large black dog said angrily. Boom. On the 5th day, a terrifying aura spread into the Jade Lake, and a disciple hurried over to report. "Queen Mother, something bad has happened. A large number of ancient beings are blocking the Jade Lake." "What? Why is it like this?" Many people cried out in surprise. Outside the Jade Lake Pure Land, clouds rolled, and there were many ancient beings in the void. They formed a large black mass, and they were actually invading in large numbers. There were purple clouds, gray mist, and white mist, all connected together. Scales flashed, and colorful feathers flowed. There were all kinds of creatures that had never been seen before. In the center of the thick clouds, there was a large divine source. It was so bright that people couldn't look at it directly. An unparalleled beauty was sealed within it. Chaotic mist swirled around it, making it difficult to see clearly. Without a doubt, This was an ancient king. The hearts of the human elites all sank. This was a group of ancient beings, and a king had personally come. The pressure was too great. The only thing that made them feel lucky was that they were in the Jade Lake now, and the Divine Tears Pagoda left behind by the Western Empress could suppress everything. It was a supreme support. They appeared in the God City, and they caused a great disturbance that day. That's right. They attacked the Purple Mountain and attracted many ancient beings. They came from the place where great Emperor Wuxia passed away. Everyone cried out in alarm. They recognized this group of ancient creatures. Yi Fan was even more shaken. He saw this divine source again, and the young lady sealed within was pure white like jade. Even though he couldn't see her up close, she was a bit familiar. Is it really the woman that was suppressed by great Emperor Wuxia according to the Purple Mountain stone engravings? More than 100,000 years have passed, and now she has appeared again. With this group of powerful creatures surrounding the Jade Lake, it truly made it hard for everyone to calm down. Everyone made preparations for the worst. What do you all want? A Jade Lake Supreme Elder spoke. We didn't come to attack the Jade Lake, but rather to bring back the descendant of a deity. A humanoid archaic creature spoke. My Jade Lake doesn't have a deity's descendant. You all came to the wrong place. The Jade Lake's Supreme Elder replied. It can't be wrong. I sensed that type of aura outside the Pure Land. He is in the Jade Lake. A powerful creature walked forward. There were 8 pairs of wings on his back, and green scales flickered all over his body. At this moment, 10,000 streaks of auspicious light rushed into the sky from the Jade Lake. The clan inheritance imprints illuminated the void, creating a mysterious and gorgeous scene. That's him. An archaic creature pointed at the auspicious lights and imprints. Now, everyone understood that they came for the Stone King, and that the egg inside was related to the ancient creatures. The undying heavenly emperor really did exist. The humanoid ancient creatures all began to tremble with excitement. This is my Jade Lake's divine object. Several supreme elders spoke one after another. I don't want to bring it away for nothing either. I'll compensate you all. The beautiful young lady sealed within the great divine source block transmitted her divine will. Swoosh. In the void, a large piece of divine source block appeared. It was 2 or 3 square meters in size, and it was even larger than the sun in the sky. The immortal splendor was dazzling, as if it was an expanse of eternal light. There was no one who wasn't shocked. Just how much was this large piece of divine source block worth? This was an astronomical number that was extremely frightening. No one would have thought that the archaic kings would be so generous. They didn't hesitate to pay any price to bring back the descendant of the so-called deity. Even if we don't come, there will still be others who will come. I don't want to start a war with the human race. The young lady within the divine source block transmitted her true voice. It was as if an immortal song was echoing through the air. Her words were extremely clear. If the other kings received the news and hurried over, a bloody battle would most likely erupt. I'll give you all an hour to consider. Clouds and mists surged. All of the ancient creatures were submerged within, unable to be seen. However, the powerful aura was still there, as if an abyss was about to erupt. The Yuan Taoist master had said that if the archaic kings came to ask for this wondrous stone, they had to hand it over. It seems like he knows the origins of this stone and is scared of bringing about a great disaster. Within the Jade Lake Pure Land, Western Queen Mother and a few others were discussing. In the end, they agreed to hand over the wondrous stone. They didn't want a bloody battle to happen because of this. An hour later, more than 10 archaic creatures entered the Jade Lake. Among them, the woman sealed within the divine source block floated out. She personally came to receive the Stone King. Many heroes were at the side. Everyone felt a type of pressure. This was the first time they were facing an archaic king at such a close distance. However, the woman purposely hid her aura and didn't let them see her true appearance. There were wisps of mist curling around the 2-meter-long divine source block. Divine senses couldn't penetrate it. On the side, there were more than 10 humanoid ancient creatures. They were either tall and valiant or elegant and beautiful. They were all different, and they all emitted a terrifying pressure. The undying heavenly emperor really did exist. This is his only descendant. An archaic creature said with a trembling voice. It's exactly the same as the legendary inheritance imprint. Another archaic creature was shaken. The undying heavenly emperor, for archaic creatures, was an extremely distant ancient emperor. It was impossible to confirm whether or not he had existed. For the 10,000 ancient races, he was a supreme deity. He had long surpassed the scope of archaic emperors. It is a rock within the ancient Emperor Mountain. Who would have thought that the undying heavenly emperor's descendant was sealed within? The woman within the divine source block sighed. The wondrous stone trembled. The flowing essence energy became even more vigorous, surging like a tsunami. It really is the descendant of a deity. Could it be that the undying heavenly emperor really did exist? Did he also pass away in meditation within the ancient Emperor Mountain? We actually didn't know. Chapter 543. Undying Heavenly Emperor, an existence that was both human and deity. He was incomparably ancient, an unmatched deity among the 10,000 archaic races. Right now, everyone was shocked. This strange stone's origins were too shocking. It might very well be the only bloodline of a deity left in this world. No wonder it couldn't be sealed at all, and there were all types of ascension scenes. He was about to appear, and the blood of a deity flowed within him. The dozen or so archaic creatures continuously spoke. Everyone obtained some information in shock, and their expressions all changed. This egg was terrifyingly ancient. Before the archaic times, there was actually an endless amount of time. The bloodline of the undying heavenly emperor had long been sealed in this stone before these creatures went into slumber. At that time, they had no idea that today, they were about to appear. Only when they saw this stone did they recall everything of the past. A rotten stone that had been lying in a corner of the Purple Mountain since the archaic times actually had such a great history. These archaic creatures were indescribably shocked. No wonder the existence of the undying heavenly emperor has long been uncertain. It seems like the archaic times have been too long. The woman sealed in the divine source sighed. They spoke a few human words, and then a few archaic words. The human experts couldn't hear them too clearly, but they roughly understood. Purple Mountain, the place where great Emperor Wuxia passed away in meditation. It was incomparably important during the archaic times, actually a place of pilgrimage named Ancient Imperial Mountain. The undying heavenly emperor might very well have left behind indelible traces in the Purple Mountain. It was to the extent where the woman sealed in the divine source released a long sigh. She believed that the unmatched existence that was both human and deity had also passed away in meditation in the ancient Imperial Mountain. The human experts were all shocked. The corpse of the undying heavenly emperor should have existed for tens of millions of years, never rotting, and could be refined into an extreme Tao holy weapon. A female archaic creature stared at the Black Emperor hiding behind the crowd. She immediately clenched her teeth, her almond-shaped eyes widened, as if she was going to fight to the death. "Don't stare at this emperor, I'm not that handsome." The large black dog braced himself and cried out, baring his teeth as he confronted her. Shi Luan. The archaic king in the large divine source spoke. Even though it was the sound of nature, it possessed unmatched might. The woman immediately stopped, not saying anything else. Many people were confused, not knowing how the large black dog provoked an ancient creature. Only Yi Fan's heart jumped. He glanced at the Black Emperor, not saying anything. "You are a sacred battle ape." One of the ancient beings saw the monkey standing in the distance, and a look of shock appeared on its face as it stumbled back a few steps. "He really is the sacred prince." The dozen or so archaic life forms were all shocked and excited, finding it difficult to calm down. "It's the youngest son of Emperor fighting." "That's right, it's definitely him. He actually survived." They looked at each other and hesitated for a moment before walking forward together. They bowed and said, "Greetings, sacred prince." Only the archaic king stopped in the distance. Her status was extremely high. Not to mention her cultivation, just her bloodline alone was not inferior to that of the monkey. The experts of the human race were all astonished. The ranks of the archaic races were extremely strict, yet they were actually so respectful to a monkey. This was something that exceeded everyone's expectations. First, they had the bloodline of the undying heavenly emperor. Now, they had seen the son of the emperor of fighting. These primordial beings were all feeling uneasy. Both of them were sons of ancient sovereigns, and according to reason, their statuses should be equal. They had extremely high statuses among the archaic life forms. However, the undying heavenly emperor was a special supreme existence. In the eyes of the myriad races, his status surpassed that of deities. His only bloodline could be said to be the son of a god. The archaic king left the Jade Lake with that wondrous stone. The terrifying fluctuations disappeared, and everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, their hearts were not at peace. They took away a divine son. Will an ancient sovereign be born in the future? An existence that was believed to surpass deities had indeed appeared in history today. His only son was about to be born. That egg's mysteriousness and terror spoke for itself. It would definitely give birth to a great expert. The more people thought about it, the more terrified they felt. There were a total of 7 wondrous stones, and all of them were stone kings. 3 were sealed, and the archaic king took one away. The monkey used his essence blood to feed one every day. Now, there were only 2 left, but they were also mysterious and unfathomable. Many people with special abilities were at a loss as to what to do. One of the stone kings had layers of patterns like greenish-brown feathers. The people of the Genesis Technique ancient clan worked together to attack it, but they all let out miserable screams. And Genesis Technique Grandmaster died on the spot. He was shot by a beam of divine light and died on the spot. What is this? Not to mention the cultivators, even those who knew Genesis techniques were shocked. They had no idea what had happened. The people of King Yuan's bloodline walked over. The leader was an old man, the current King Yuan. He was a true Genesis master. Behind him were 8 strange people. They were the 8 lunatics who had once stirred up a storm in the divine city. This is the flying feather stone. It could be a divine treasury, or it could be a ghost cave. It's hard to say, he said. Yi Fan nodded inwardly. There had never been a Yuan Taoist master from King Yuan's bloodline, but occasionally, a Genesis master would appear. Their Genesis techniques were powerful, and they lived up to their name. You nodded inwardly. Did you see something? Is it better than King Yuan? Someone from the Genesis Technique ancient clan said. They were very dissatisfied with Yi Fan. I can't say I'm better than him, but I know a little. Don't tell me you want to bet with me again? Yi Fan laughed. Many people present also laughed. Who didn't know about the stone gambling war in the divine city? Yi Fan had just appeared, but he had made a few ancient clans lose face. At this time, he brought up the past again. This was like hitting people in the face, scolding them, and exposing their shortcomings. It was too unkind. Among them, Nangong Chi had fought with Yi Fan, and he was the most resentful. He said, "You are only at the Grandmaster realm, similar to us. What right do you have to be so arrogant? How about we make another bet?" Yi Fan asked with a smile. King Yuan was an honest person, and he looked very ordinary. At this time, a strange look appeared on his face. He said, "Little friend, what did you see?" "I can't see through this kind of feather stone, and I can only judge some clues based on my feelings," Yi Fan said. "If you can't see through it, then why are you so arrogant? Do you really think you are the Yuan Taoist master?" Someone from the Genesis Technique ancient clan sneered. Yi Fan turned around and saw the people from the Yin-Yang sect standing behind them. He naturally understood that they had a powerful helper, and they were more confident. "What does it have to do with you?" "I am discussing with Senior King Yuan. If you are not satisfied, then let's make a bet and give me a few million kilograms of origin source." Yi Fan didn't look him in the eye. Many people were speechless. They felt that he was the same as the Red Dragon Old Priest and the others. If they were not satisfied, then fight. Nangong Chi and the others were shocked and angry. "If you have some confidence, then why don't you make a bet with him?" A supreme elder from the Yin-Yang sect said, clearly supporting them in picking a fight. "This old man has also seen some clues," Ouyang Yi said. He was infinitely close to the origin source master realm. Apart from King Yuan, he was the best Genesis technique expert here. 2. 5 million kilograms of pure origin source. Yi Fan's voice was sonorous and powerful, shocking many people. Such a huge amount of pure origin source could be considered an astronomical figure. How many people could take out such a huge amount? This time, the people from the Genesis technique ancient clan had learned their lesson. Although they spoke provocatively, no one made a bet. Yi Fan was very helpless. It seemed that this sneak attack would not work. He had been too ruthless in the Divine City, and many people had been tricked badly. They would not be tricked again. This old man will make a bet with you, Yang Yi said again. He was about to become a origin source master, and he had never fought with Yi Fan before. How much do you want to bet? Yi Fan asked. 1 million kilograms of origin source. If I lose, I will give it to you. If you lose, hand over the origin heavenly book. Yang Ye's eyes were sharp. Yi Fan scoffed coldly. The origin heavenly book is only worth 1 million kilograms of origin source? All right, I don't want the ancient book. If I win, I just need to take a look, Yang Yi said. Isn't it the same? Don't even think about it if you are less than 5 million kilograms of origin source. Yi Fan refused. All right, 2 million kilograms of pure origin source. Yang Yi went all out for the origin heavenly book. He borrowed origin source from a few Genesis technique ancient clans. I only want God's source. Otherwise, I cannot carry an entire mountain. Yi Fan made a strict request again. After 3 days, Yang Yi gathered a pile of God's source, attracting the close attention of all the sect masters. 5 God source the size of a faceplate filled the jade lake with an ocean of spirit chi. This is the feather-flying divine treasure. There are peerless treasures inside, most likely comparable to the saint items of the great emperor, Yang Yi said, making his own judgment. Yi Fan laughed and said, Luckily, our judgments are different. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. I said it was the feather-flying heavenly coffin, with the corpse of an ancient expert buried inside. Perhaps there are divine items buried with it. After some discussion, the Jade Lake wanted to borrow the power of many people to cut open the remaining 2 Stone Kings and see what was inside. These weren't the special Stone Kings that the Yuan Taoist master wanted them to seal for a long time. They could use a knife to bring them out. Then let's see what is inside. The people from the Genesis technique ancient clans all laughed coldly. They didn't think that Yi Fan could be stronger than a source master. It's time for the origin heavenly book to change owners. Some people were already impatient. This stone was too special. It was brought to a barren area in the Jade Lake and was about to be cut open in the wilderness. All the sect masters followed to see what was inside. Boom! When an expert cut it open with a flying sword from far away, a terrifying aura drowned out the heaven and earth. The extreme Een was like a knife, shattering the void. Everyone was astonished. Fortunately, they were hiding far enough away. What was sealed inside? Extreme Een Saint Power. Someone's expression changed. This was a supreme saint power that was passed down from the ancient generations of the human race. Overflowing black fog engulfed the heaven and earth. After an unknown period of time, the extreme Een and gentle extreme Een saint power finally disappeared, leaving behind sparkling sparkles. Exceptional divine treasury. The people from the ancient clans cried out. People rushed over and found that the sparkling thing was actually a shattered bone. It was as white as jade and flickered with splendor. This is the corpse of a saint. It's been shattered. The Jianghu clan saint master cried out in alarm. Not to mention ordinary people, even the supreme sect master's expressions changed after seeing the shattered bones of a saint with their own eyes. The bones were almost shattered, and one could imagine the severity of his injuries. There was a broken jade tablet beside him with 4 ancient characters carved on it. Unfortunately, no one could recognize them. Extreme Een scripture. Finally, someone found a spiritual imprint and cried out in alarm. Everyone was stunned. An ancient scripture had appeared, and many people almost made a move to snatch it. However, thinking that they were in the Jade Lake and under the suppression of the Immortal Tears Pagoda, everyone restrained their impulses. The people from the origin technique ancient clans' faces were ashen. They could not believe that an origin master's judgment would be inferior to Yi Fan's. In reality, Yi Fan was indeed lacking compared to an origin master. Even though he knew many origin divine techniques, they were ineffective against this stone. The reason why he was so confident was because the monkey was standing at the side and told him that this stone was definitely a tomb. In the ancient times, some great characters would use supreme secret techniques to bury themselves in a stone before they died, coexisting with the heaven and earth. Coincidentally, it was this feather wondrous stone. Is it really the extreme in scripture? Many people's words were trembling. If that was the case, the Jade Lake would have two ancient scriptures. The Western Queen Mother of the Jade Lake probed the jade tablet with her divine sense and sighed. She retreated and said, "What a pity, the extreme in scripture has been destroyed." Many people did not believe her. They probed with their divine senses and found that it was just as the Western Queen Mother had said. There were only a few imprints on the jade tablet, and the rest had long been destroyed. It was the extreme in saint power that overflowed when he was dying that destroyed everything. Many people felt that it was a pity. When they returned to the Jade Lake Imperial Court, Yi Fan laughed heartily and took away the pile of divine origin. Ouyang Yi and the others felt their hearts bleeding. "Ha, you are so passionate. You have given me so many divine origin. I am very grateful." Yi Fan laughed and mocked. The people from the origin technique ancient clans were so sullen. Nangong Qi was so angry that he vomited blood. Ouyang Ye's face was also dark, but there was nothing she could do. The last Stone King was also cut open, and there was a ray of bloody light inside. It killed a few experts on the spot and turned them into a pool of blood. It was a horrifying scene. At the crucial moment, the Immortal Tears Pagoda suppressed it with a ray of divine might and destroyed it. Only then did the others survive. What is that? Everyone was puzzled and gathered around to see. Red hair. Yi Fan's heart skipped a beat. There were only some terrifying red hair in the rubble. Something bad happened to the Stone King. King Yuan said. He also knew about this. He revealed a serious expression and sighed. I didn't expect the legend to be true. If he becomes the Yuan Taoist master, something bad will happen to him in his later years. Even a strange stone in his hands is like this. Yi Fan's heart skipped a beat. He carefully observed for a long time, but he didn't learn much. He didn't know what it was at all. There was a powerful being sealed in the divine origin in this stone. Something bad happened to it, and only a crazy divine consciousness was left. It was destroyed by a ray of divine might from the Immortal Tears Pagoda. This was the only conclusion that Yi Fan and King Yuan came to after a long discussion. Both of them were shocked. The Jade Lake Feast of Peaches came to an end, and the various lords left one after another. Some people glanced at Yi Fan before they left. Their intentions were obvious. Soon, everyone left, including Li Heishui and Jiang Huairan. They were ready to go to the Central Plains and find a chance to enter the Extraordinary Scholar Academy. Before the Red Dragon Taoist and the Peacock King left, Yi Fan secretly gave them a divine fruit to extend their lifespan. It was left to repay the Divine King's kindness, but Divine King Jiang had killed himself and left the mortal world. No one knew where he went, so it was no longer useful. A month later, the monkey also left. He provided enough royal blood and took away a peach divine fruit from the Jade Lake, as well as a divine fruit from Yi Fan. Outside the Jade Pool, there were experts moving about, quietly waiting for Yi Fan to come out. Unfortunately, a month was wasted. Yi Fan didn't have any intention of leaving the Jade Lake. He wanted to cultivate in seclusion. These days he was very free. Sometimes he would cultivate in seclusion to comprehend supreme arts, and sometimes he would travel with the fairies in white in the Jade Lake. Some of the supreme elders of the Jade Lake felt their eyelids twitching. They were on guard against Yi Fan, afraid that the incident between the Yuan Taoist master and the saintess from 10,000 years ago would happen again. They couldn't chase Yi Fan away, because in the future, they still had to ask him to nurture a few Stone Kings for them to grow. They could only helplessly urge the Jade Lake Holy Daughter and another female disciple to hurry to the Central Plains, to the eccentric academy. On this day, Yi Fan was in a daze. A female disciple of the Jade Lake brought him a red sandalwood box. After opening it, something immediately attracted his attention. The cell phone. He clicked on it and opened a video. A familiar beautiful face appeared in the video, and a gentle but clear voice could be heard. Yi Fan, save me. Chapter 544. A familiar and beautiful face came into his view through the screen. The weak voice sounded very helpless. Yi Fan was in a daze. Then he became angry. The weak girl was staggering on the extinct volcano. She kept running and falling to the ground from time to time. The hard rocks cut her skin and left blood stains. In the distance, there was a vast expanse of whiteness. It seemed that snowflakes were falling. Lu Yi, the lonely and pitiful classmate, appeared in Yi Fan's mind. They had not seen each other for 6 years after they were forced to go to the holy place of remote antiquity to pick the sacred medicine. But now, he suddenly saw her in a cell phone. She was suffering and someone wanted to kill her. This was a great shock to Yi Fan. Who did all this? Yi Fan immediately thought that this must be aimed at him. The other party wanted to lure him out of the Jade Lake and then kill him. It was dark and gloomy. This was an ancient extinct volcano. The top of it was bare, and the clouds were about to press down on the crater. There was absolutely no vitality. Lu Yi's clothes were ragged and stained with blood. She had lost her shoes and left bloody footprints on the hard rocks. She looked very frightened and panicked. Yi Fan watched quietly for a long time. Then he closed the video and pondered in silence. Who on earth wanted to kill him? There were many choices, but who could know Lu Yi's whereabouts? How did they find her? Where was Zhang Xiling who was with her? Yi Fan calmed himself down and stopped himself from getting angry. He thought seriously. The enemy must have known that they came from the other side of the starry sky and had a lot of unfavorable information about him. He took out his dusty cell phone. Wisps of light appeared between his fingers and he carefully inserted them into the power supply. Melodious music sounded. He turned on his cell phone and looked through the old memories. He wanted to confirm whether other old friends were involved in this. Yi Fan watched quietly for a long time. Then, he continued to click on Lu Yi's cell phone and found another recording. I want to kill her. What can you do to me? A gloomy voice rang out, making people feel disgusted from the bottom of their hearts. There was the savagery of a vile person intoxicated by success, and even more so, there was a cold and merciless smell of blood. I'll give you a month's time to find this volcano of execution. Then, immediately come here and beg me on your knees. Otherwise, I'll definitely cut her up piece by piece. The ice-cold voice was like a chilly wind blowing, full of resentment and resentment. The sound of gnashing teeth was like chewing human bones, full of hatred. Yi Fan closed the phone cover and stared at the small lake that was as clear as jade not far away. Mist lingered around it, and a few fairies walked on the waves, looking otherworldly beautiful. I've been running around for a month. Does the person in the dark want to kill me in one strike? You still have enough confidence. Mental torture? There must be a great grudge between them for them to be so vicious. Thinking about it, there were indeed a few people, but it was difficult to determine who they were. After a moment of silence, Yi Fan opened Lu Yi's phone again and tapped on another recording. The resentful voice was replaying. Kneel before me devoutly and wait for you to beg me. Otherwise, I'll wipe out all of your old friends one by one. The astral wind was very strong, and it let out a woo-woo sound from the phone. It should be on a very high peak, and there were indistinctly rustling pines. Pines rustling, astral wind, and a faint sound of snowflakes falling. Today is the season of blooming flowers. Yi Fan looked into the distance. Yi Fan tapped on the phone and found the image of Zhang Wencheng. He was standing on the humble peak, breathing in and out while facing the morning glow. Essence Qi flowed through his 7 apertures like a dragon. Obviously, after learning from elderly Royu, his cultivation had made great progress. His temperament was no longer dispirited and had undergone a great change. Do you see? This will be the second person I'll kill in the future. If you don't come and beg me on your knees, this person will die tragically in 3 months. The malicious voice was like the low roar of a ferocious ghost. It reverberated clearly and had a cruel taste, which made people feel uncomfortable and disgusted. They are not the only two. Later, there will be a third, a fourth, until everyone you know is dead. Yi Fan rubbed his temples. This person knew everything about him, but he was not shocked by his past experience. He stood up and 2 beams of cold light shot out from his eyes. Of course, you can choose not to come and ignore their life and death. You can live on mercilessly and let them all die. But in the future, I'll take the initiative to find you. Bang. Yi Fan closed the phone again. This person was not a match for him at the moment, or he was not completely sure, or he would not say such words. He was sure that once he walked out of the Jasper Lake, he would be in a dead end. This person did not fight him alone, but must have attracted other powerhouses. Don't bring any reinforcements. I'll give you a chance to be a hero and save the beauty alone. Wait until you kneel in front of me, hee. These were the last words, cruel and merciless. Yi Fan sank into deep thought. This person understood his personality and knew that he would definitely go and not mercilessly abandon his old friends. He stood up and strolled around the lake. Fallen flowers were everywhere, and the fragrance of the flower petals flowed about. They were sparkling and translucent, creating a beautiful and dreamlike scene. Young Master Yi, stop. A white-clothed beauty stopped him and did not let him continue forward. Her face was slightly red. In front of him, the clouds were rising and mist filled the air. White immortal energy flowed, and the sound of a woman playing in the water could be heard. Yi Fan was speechless. He was deep in thought as he aimlessly walked over. He actually arrived at the Jasper Lake's bathing place. He smiled and walked back. What are you thinking? You were lost in thought and actually walked here. A pleasant voice transmitted over. There was a trace of magnetism within the gentleness, as if a celestial tune was cleansing one's soul. The Jasper Lake Saintess walked out of the lake gracefully. She was wearing a snow-white robe, and her black hair was dripping wet. Her soft and tender skin was covered in water droplets. She did not hide her immortal appearance in the Jasper Lake's sacred ground. Yi Fan had already seen her true appearance with his divine eye, so there was no need for this. I encountered some things and became absent-minded. Fortunately, I did not enter the celestial lake by mistake, or else the group of fairies would definitely fight me to the death. Yi Fan smiled, but his expression was somewhat regretful. The Jasper Lake Saintess was speechless. She rolled her eyes at him seriously and said, "What made you like this?" This was a flawless face that was as beautiful as a dream. Her eyelashes were very long, and her eyes were like water, containing the essence of poetry. She was like a fairy that had come out of the water, sparkling and beautiful, otherworldly and otherworldly. The water droplets stuck to her hair and skin that was as delicate as ivory. Every frown and smile of the Jasper Lake Saintess was incomparably moving. This was a face as perfect as Yen Ryu, flawless and flawless. Together with Miaoi, she could compete for the title of the Eastern Barren Territory's #1 beauty. Her appearance was breathtaking. If there was anyone else who could be praised as a moon fairy, it would be her. She indeed had an otherworldly aura that other women could not compare to. Do you know this place? Yi Fan took out his phone and played the video. What is this? The Jasper Lake Saintess was surprised. The water droplets slid down her ivory skin, which shone with a 7-colored luster. Although she was beautiful and intelligent, she was also stunned at this moment and lost her composure, which was rare. This is a divine item from the outside world. When I have time, I will explain it to you in detail. Yi Fan told her the ins and outs of the story. The Eastern Barren Territory is boundless. There are tens of thousands of such towering mountains with snow on a hot summer day, and there might even be more. However, under such an environment, it must be an ice pine without a doubt. You can rule out 90% of the possibility. At this point, the Jasper Lake Saintess paused for a while and continued. However, the key problem is that they only want to see you step out of the Jade Lake. Yes, this is the key. At that time, you will have stepped into their trap. Yi Fan nodded. Do you really have to save this person? The Jasper Lake Saintess asked. This was obviously a dead end. If he stepped into it, he would not have a good ending. Yes, I don't want to see her die. Yi Fan sighed. He couldn't be indifferent. That enemy knows this and knows that you will definitely go. He knows your temperament very well, the Jasper Lake Saintess reminded him. I know. Yi Fan nodded. How do you want us to help you? The Jasper Lake Saintess asked. Yi Fan sighed softly. The enemy didn't allow him to bring people with him. It was obvious that they wanted to kill him. He could choose not to go, but they would definitely kill Lu Yi without mercy. This was a difficult problem in front of him. Even though he knew it was a death trap, he had no choice but to jump into it. On this day, Yi Fan sat by the lake and thought for a long time. Finally, he stood up and asked the Jasper Lake Saintess to help him find that place. He had to keep the appointment. Do you really want to throw away your life? The Jasper Lake Saintess was shocked. I won't let myself fall into a hopeless situation. It's just that there are many difficulties. Yi Fan frowned. What can you do? No one can go with you. This is a death trap. The Jasper Lake Saintess said. Yi Fan asked the Jasper Lake Saintess to help him find that place. He also asked people to invite the Red Dragon Taoist and the Peacock King to come at the crucial moment. Then, he went into seclusion and cultivated bitterly. It was as if he had let go of everything and comprehended his own great Tao. Only at the end of the month did he come out of seclusion. He was full of energy and had adjusted to his peak state. He asked about the current situation. If I'm not wrong, it should be the Fire Demon Ridge in the central region of the Eastern Desolation, the Jasper Lake Saintess answered. Big brother, uncle and the others are here. Little Nan Nan ran over, followed by the Red Dragon Taoist and the Peacock King. They had been here for many days. Yi Fan opened the video and asked them to watch it again. Kneeling like a dog to beg me. When the large black dog heard this resentful voice, he was even more furious than Yi Fan. He shouted continuously, what do you mean by begging like a dog? F***ck, I can't kill him. I want him to become my human pet's beast. This big sister is so pitiful. Little Nan Nan saw Lu Yi stumbling and bleeding on the extinct volcano in the video. She couldn't bear to watch. Yi Fan stood up and said, let's go and kill them now. The Jasper Lake Saintess was surprised. She didn't know where his confidence came from. If he kept the appointment, it was clearly a death trap. How could he escape death and still want to massacre them? Young man, you have to think it through, a grand elder of the Jasper Lake advised. There's no need to be afraid. Just kill all those people. The Red Dragon Taoist said. Yi Fan had given him a holy fruit. This was a favor to extend his life. He rushed over as soon as he received the news. Now, he could move unhindered in the Eastern Desolation, so he naturally had no fear. The Peacock King also had the Primal Chaos Precious Seal above his head. Tens of thousands of rays of light flowed, and he looked down on the world. He wasn't afraid of any fierce battle. Even if he encountered a living fossil, he could fight it. At the last moment, the Crow Taoist received the message and also appeared in the Jasper Lake. With the appearance of this peerless giant of the demon race, their lineup became even stronger. Let's go to the central region and kill until rivers of blood flow. The region gate appeared. It was pitch black inside. Yi Fan, the Red Dragon Taoist, and the Grand Elders of the Jasper Lake entered one after another, disappearing from the Pure Land. Chapter 545. Central Region, Fire Demon Ridge. According to legend, a holy spirit of the Fire Tribe had been born here, and he was almost as powerful as an ancient emperor. Unfortunately, it was said that he was killed by the ancient celestial emperor, and his body and soul were both destroyed. Countless years had passed, and there were still some legends about him. All signs pointed to the fact that it was the ruthless emperor who killed him. In the past, the heaven-devouring emperor had bathed the world in blood. Even though he had performed a great deed for the human race, it was not spread, and his achievements were erased. Those who came later could only sigh and catch some clues. The celestial emperor had already passed away, and the past had become smoke. The Fire Demon Ridge was boundless, and there were withered mountains and rocks everywhere. There were countless extinct volcanoes, and there was no vitality at all. Darkness and monotony coexisted, and even the sky was dusky. Yi Fan and the large black dog arrived here. Their divine sense was like the sea as they explored the entire region. However, the fire demon ridge was too vast and boundless. There was not a single blade of grass growing on the withered mountains, and there was no end in sight. This was a barren land. In the past, there was endless divine fire underground, and a fire spirit was born. He turned from Tao to demon and was finally killed, the large black dog said. He had seen the ruthless emperor's coffin in the crow's nest, and now that he had come to the place where he had performed a great deed, the large black dog was somewhat sentimental. Only when the 9 orifices stone golem reached great completion could they become a holy spirit. That was an invincible existence, and the ruthless emperor had actually killed a fire tribe holy spirit before, but it had not been passed down to the world. Yi Fan's heart was also stirred. He stood in this ancient region and silently looked at the endless withered mountains, marveling at the battle prowess of the ancient celestial emperor. The divine fire underground seemed to have cooled down long ago. All the volcanoes were dead and no longer erupting. However, there were some strange fluctuations that were not stained by the snow. Where is Yi? Yi Fan muttered to himself as he swept his eyes over the volcanoes. Although there were endless legends, he was not in the mood to understand them. Saving people was the most important thing right now. He was afraid that something had happened to Louis. After venturing for an unknown number of kilometers, a towering mountain appeared in the distance. It was a vast expanse of whiteness, and snow danced in the air. The extinct volcanoes were sandwiched in the middle of a snowy mountain range. It was a very special place in the central region. Most people were unwilling to enter this place. This was because the Holy Spirit Nirvana grounds always made people feel goosebumps. Although nothing had happened, anyone who came here would have a strange feeling, as if they had entered an ancient cemetery. You're finally here? A ghostly voice echoed in the mountains. Yi Fan's expression froze. He saw a door of light at the mouth of a volcano not far away. It flowed with a strange energy, and he didn't know where it led to. Where is he? She won't die yet. No one could be seen, only a cold and emotionless voice with a hint of mockery. She will personally witness the scene of you kneeling on the ground. Please enter the Saint Gate. You want us to go in just because you say so? The large black dog was indignant. He bared his teeth and said, "Who the hell knows where we're connected to? If you want to save them, do you have a choice?" The person in the dark said with a hint of mockery. "My human pet's pet, you're too cocky." The Black Emperor cursed and said, "If we don't even have our lives, how can we go and save them? You must be dreaming." The person in the dark was silent for a while, and then said, "This door doesn't lead to a dangerous place. It's just to see if you've come here on your own." Yi Fan didn't say anything more. He could already tell that this person was merely acting on orders, and wasn't the one who had set up a trap to kill him. Above the mouth of the volcano, the door of light was brilliant like a house of gold. It was as if there were endless treasures hidden behind it. The moment Yi Fan stepped in, his body trembled. The old Taoist Crimson Dragon, the Peacock King, the Crow Taoist, and a few grand elders of the Jade Pool all appeared. Swoosh! The few of them appeared in the void at almost the same time. There was nowhere to hide, and they couldn't seal onto Yi Fan's body. Myriad Net Sect. The old Taoist Crimson Dragon was astonished. This was a door of life. Once one entered, there was practically nowhere to hide, unless an unparalleled figure sealed himself. The person in the dark seemed to be very surprised. He hadn't thought that Yi Fan would invite such a powerful lineup. If they really made a move, a living fossil that jumped out would be a great disaster. Only you can come alone. Since you don't want to do this, we'll send that B***Tsich on her way. The voice of the person in the dark was cruel and merciless. Yi Fan fell silent. He hadn't thought that the other party would have such a strange thing like the Myriad Net Sect. He walked forward and said, "I'll go with you myself." Something that can't see the light. The Black Emperor cursed. "I've changed my decision. Let this dog go as well," the person in the dark said fiercely. F***CK, I don't want to go." The large black dog jumped up high. "Let's go. Let's go together," Yi Fan said. The large black dog was depressed. He really didn't want to go. Without the battle prowess of the Crimson Dragon Taoist, he felt that he would most likely be slaughtered if he went. This won't do. Don't go. The Peacock King stopped him. Everyone could see that they wanted Yi Fan's life. If he went, he would only die in vain. The Grand Elders of the Jade Pool also stopped him, thinking that this was no different from suicide, and objected to him going alone. Yi Fan shook his head, and secretly told them not to worry. He didn't say anything more, and strode forward. The wind is bleak, and the water is cold. Once the hero goes, he will never return. The large black dog's wail was as horrible as a pig being slaughtered. Yi Fan grabbed him by the tail, and forcefully dragged him into the region gate at the side. He howled, "I really don't want to go." This was a large snowy mountain. Cold wind whistled, and heavy snow fluttered about. Yi Fan and the large black dog stood on the peak of a mountain, and looked around. There was only a dormant volcano nearby. Woo woo, the wind was like thunder, and the pine trees rustled. In the vast white mountain range, there was only one kind of tree, ice pine. Each tree would require over a dozen people to wrap their arms around it. They were completely snow-white, and they were as vigorous as horned dragons as they stretched into the sky. The leaden clouds were heavy, and they were about to descend onto the mountain peak. A formless killing intent pervaded the air, and there were extraordinary elites everywhere, sealing off this place. Oh no! The large black dog's expression changed immediately. In this instant, he had engraved several dozen formation patterns, but they were all obliterated in the void, and could not be preserved at all. It's over. Emperor Wu Shi's killing formation is useless. The large black dog stared fixedly at the only dormant volcano, fear appearing in his eyes. He said in a trembling voice, "This is the place where saint spirits perished. Unless an ancient emperor is resurrected, no one can engrave formation patterns here." Yi Fan's heart chilled. The large black dog really knew him well. The large black dog's attainment in Tao patterns was unparalleled, but there was no use for it here. "You really dared to come, you reckless thing." A person laughed loudly, and strode in the void. He approached step by step, and stopped on a distant mountain peak. Yi Fan stood in the wind and snow, and he silently looked at the person. He activated his divine eyes, and saw through the person's true appearance. It was actually the holy son of De Yen, Xiangyu. "You really came to die. What a pity, it's not so easy to be a hero in this world. Many people have been killed like cowards in the end." Another person laughed loudly, and there was a look of contempt on his face as he appeared on another mountain peak. A cold glint flashed in Yi Fan's eyes. This was the holy son of Tao Yi, Li Donglai, and he had nowhere to hide from heavenly god Yuan. Sending a saint body on his way is truly a joyous event in life. I really want to taste the saint's blood. A third person arrived on the snowflakes, and his eyes were filled with madness, cruelty, and bloodthirst. Yi Fan looked through the person's true body, and his heart chilled again. This person was the heir of the gold family of the North Plains, Jin Qishao. Last time, during the Night of Bloodshed, Wu Shi's great emperor killing formation killed all the heroes. The three of them went to kill Yi Fan, but their true bodies didn't enter the formation, and so they avoided disaster. In another direction, another cold laugh sounded out. A fourth person appeared, and her beautiful eyes were as sharp as blades, as if they could cut into one's heart. Holy daughter of all beginnings, Yi Fan saw the true body of the fourth person. It was a woman, graceful and elegant, and her long hair reached her waist. Although she was beautiful and otherworldly, her face was filled with resentment. She was the holy daughter of all beginnings, Zhao Yanren. His heart sank. These people were not to be underestimated, and when they walked together, the power they could use would be terrifying. Behind them were the four great sages. Rushing to die, there's no sense of accomplishment in killing him. I wonder how the few of you want to torture him to death? The fifth person laughed, and he stood in the distance, not coming over. Killing a saint physique is not a small accomplishment. If we hang his head in the northern region divine city and feed it to the wild eagles, it will cause a commotion. The sixth person laughed coldly, and his true appearance couldn't be seen. Yi Fan's expression was incomparably serious. Things were not looking good this time. With so many saints appearing together, it was clear that they didn't want to give him a chance. In that instant, he sensed the 7th person, the 8th person, the 13th person. They were all youths full of vigor. Although they didn't show their faces, they couldn't hide it. This was the life fluctuations unique to the younger generation, and every one of them was incomparably powerful. A total of 13 saints had come, and it was comparable to the night when the 13 saint lords surrounded and killed the divine kings. You all really think highly of me? Yi Fan stood on the snowy peak and looked in all directions. His black hair danced in the wind, and 2 streaks of cold lightning shot out from his eyes. You still came in the end. If nothing goes wrong, kneel down and beg us. Great Yen Saint Sun Xiang Yifei laughed coldly. Who are you all? Yi Fan asked. You'd better be a muddle-headed ghost. Dao Yi Saint Sun Li Donglai laughed mercilessly, and his snow-white teeth flickered with cold light. Yi Fan naturally wouldn't point out that he had eyes, but he could see through the true bodies of these people. At this moment, he felt endless killing intent, and he was under great pressure. Someone is borrowing power and wants to use your hands to eliminate me. After laying down a killing trap, didn't he come himself? Yi Fan looked into the distance. The people who want to kill you are all here. In the distance, an incomparably resentful voice came from a snowy peak. 2 streaks of divine light shot out from Yi Fan's eyes, and he stared fixedly at that place. This voice was exactly the same as the recording. Yi Fan, I really want to see the scene of you kneeling at my feet and begging for mercy. It was hard to imagine how great the hatred was. This person was like a malicious spirit, and he growled in a low voice, and his tone was incomparably malicious. Isn't it just 13 holy child level experts? Even if another 13 come, I can still kill them. Yi Fan stood upright and unafraid, and there was a type of sovereign overlooking the world, as if he was the supreme ruler. What is he saying? Has he gone mad? He wants to kill the 13 of us, huh? Jin Qishao laughed loudly, and his eyes flickered with bloody light. They were full of ruthlessness. Reckless. Many people said coldly. Silently, figures appeared on the various snowy peaks, and many more figures appeared. Some of their auras were as unreachable as ancient divine peaks, while others were as deep and immeasurable as a great abyss. Xiang Yifei, holy daughter of all beginnings, Jin Qishao, Li Donglai, and the others all had 2 or 3 elders beside them. One didn't even need to think to know that they were all supreme elder-level figures. If you can survive today, then it will definitely be a miracle. That malicious voice sounded again. Miracle? Today, I'll kill you all and prove my Tao to become a deity. Yi Fan's words were resounding and powerful, and his gaze was incomparably resolute. He had the power to devour mountains and rivers as he looked down on everyone and said, all of you will die. Chapter 546. Ha! On the snowy peaks, everyone was laughing. Some were full of mockery, some were full of hatred, and some were full of killing intent. Their expressions were all different. How could a cultivator of the 4 ultimate realms fight so many people? Among them, there was no lack of top figures from the older generation. They thought this was a joke. You want to kill us all? Are you dreaming? They did not want to give Yi Fan any chance. This time, the 13 saints had come together and even invited some supreme elders. They wanted to kill him. Where is he? Yi Fan asked calmly. Yi Fan, do you still want to save people? You can't even take care of yourself. Don't you think it's funny to think of others? Saint Li Donglai sneered. Bring her out, someone in the dark said. In the distance, on a snowy peak, Lu Yi appeared. Her body was thin and weak. Her bare feet were stained with blood, and her clothes were ragged. She looked very miserable. You guys are really broad-minded. Aren't you embarrassed to attack such a lonely girl? Yi Fan's killing intent intensified. Among them, many saints stiffened. They belonged to the same temporary organization and did not know each other's identities. The alliance of killing sages. Yi Fan said to himself. He knew how they had come together. Yi Fan. Lu Yi was miserable and very haggard. She called out softly from afar, "Don't worry about me." I didn't call for help. They were imitating me. Yi Fan smiled, like a ray of dawn breaking through the haze. Don't worry. Whether it's real or fake, I'm here to save you. Nothing will happen. Is it really going to be okay? Grand Yan Saint's son, Xiang Yifei, chuckled and said, if I cut off her beautiful head in front of everyone, would you feel pain and regret? I know you won't do that. You want to see me bleed on the peak and let more people, including Yi, see my miserable state, right? Do you know who we are? Saintly Donglai said mockingly. Isn't it the same whether I know or not? Yi Fan spoke calmly. He swept his gaze over everyone and said, Release Yi. I have fulfilled my promise and rushed here. You guys can't even do this, right? Sure, no problem. As long as you're here, that's enough. She's just an insignificant person, someone said indifferently. No, I have to make him kneel down and beg us. All beginning Saint Zhao Yanran's voice was cold and filled with hatred. Not only had the holy land of all beginnings Saint's son been killed, but even the holy leader had perished. She wanted nothing more than to kill Yi Fan. There's nothing more to say. Kill him. Behind Holy Maiden of all beginnings, a supreme elder spoke, the first to move, flying over like a ghost. When he moved like this, everyone pressed forward. No one was willing to fall behind, because Yi Fan had a great treasure on him, the source root of all life source energy. Clang. Suddenly, without a sound, a crack appeared in the void beside Yi Fan. A beam of divine light shot out and slashed at his head. Yi Fan shattered the divine light and then formed a blade imprint with a flip of his hand. It entered the void and sliced a black-clothed man in half. Fresh blood rained down like a storm. During this process, he faced it calmly and said, If you want to kill me, you can just do it openly. Why do you have to hide like this? Everyone quickly closed in and surrounded him. Killing intent was everywhere. Blade light and sword shadows were everywhere, and many magical treasures hung in the air. Is there no one who wants to fight me? Are they all so afraid of me? Yi Fan mocked. I've always wanted to test how strong you are. Everyone, don't kill him yet. Let me measure his strength. Northern Plains Gold family's descendant, Jin Qishao, spoke. He was indeed an expert. Last time, when he transformed into a deity and entered the killing formation, he displayed the combat strength of a saint's son. It was hard to say how terrifying his main body's cultivation was. Let me try first. Dao Yi Saintly Donglai shouted. He was the first to attack. After advancing to the first transformation of the dragon transformation, he had great confidence. In front of him, a large golden ship appeared. With the void as the ocean and heaven and earth essence as the source, it released endless brilliance and smashed forward. Space-piercing divine ship. Someone was astonished. This golden warship passed through the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. However, a terrifying aura erupted between heaven and earth, as if an evil spirit from the abyss was about to emerge. It was impossible to judge where it would appear from, and no one knew what kind of combat strength it would display. The danger was hidden in the darkness. A deafening sound rang out like the heavenly drum of the immortal realm. The golden warship suddenly appeared in front of Yi Fan and crushed over. That's right, it was like a great golden millstone. It rumbled endlessly and rumbled in all directions. Even though this was the place where the Holy Spirit fell and there was a mysterious power restricting it, it was still as if an earthquake was happening. It began to tremble slightly and the noise was like thunder. When faced with this kind of worship, Yi Fan didn't display any other holy techniques. He could only smash his fist into the sky. The golden fist was like a divine mountain. Its power tore through the void and heavily struck the bottom of the ship, releasing endless radiance. A heart-shaking sound rang out. A crack appeared at the bottom of the golden warship and slowly extended outwards. What? How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. This was a weapon that interweaved a portion of natural laws. Even though it hadn't reached perfection, it was still like the Tao had descended into this world. Ding. Yi Fan's second fist smashed out. There were no fancy moves, only an unstoppable iron fist. It heavily smashed into the warship, making it unable to crush it. Gotcha! This time, the sound was even louder. A clear crack appeared, and the body of the warship swayed. Light overflowed in all directions like ripples that extended across the snowy mountain. Not good. Dao Yi's Saint Child Li Donglai had advanced to the first transformation of Dragon Transformation. He was full of confidence, but he didn't want to fight a life-and-death battle with Yi Fan. He only wanted to test things out, but he discovered that the great treasure was about to be destroyed. The golden warship wanted to charge away and stop crushing Yi Fan, but it was already too late. Yi Fan's black hair danced in the wind as he smashed out a third time. The power of the golden light was shocking. The golden warship was pierced through, and then with a boom, it disintegrated in the void. All kinds of fragments flew everywhere and fell in all directions. It was similar to a divine ruler-level weapon, but it was directly shattered by his fist. Everyone was shocked, including the supreme elders. Now, in terms of physical strength, no one could compare to him. Everyone was fearful. If they were to get close to him, they would definitely not have a good ending. Dao Yi's Saint Child Li Donglai was shocked. This was a secret treasure he had obtained not long ago and wanted to use his life to cultivate. His divine sense was immersed in it, and at this moment he spat out a mouthful of blood. Yi Fan laughed and said, "That's all? Who else wants to try? If you can't, then all of you can come together." Clang. De Yan's Saint Child pulled out a jade sword soul and spat out a wave of connate essence energy. With a light hum, the sword soul disappeared. In the sky, 3 beams of connate divine light descended. 3 sword souls were born and turned into a supreme sword core, each drawing on a type of great Tao. Human King Sword, / Xiang Yifei shouted. Clang. The first sword core turned into a beam of green light that split the heaven and earth. It traversed the sky like an eternal divine light. Yi Fan did not move. He opened his mouth and spat out a wave of connate essence energy to meet the attack. Everyone was shocked. The divine physique's origin power was too strong, and they simply couldn't believe it. The connate essence energy he spat out was like a golden river that drowned the void. Golden divine light surged and dyed every inch of the space. This was the divine physique's connate essence energy, and it was like an ocean. Without any suspense, the so-called human king sword shattered in the void with a kacha sound, turning into fine powder. The sword core turned into smoke and burned into ashes. Heaven and earth sword, vast chaos, destroy all things. De Yan's Saint Child Xiang Yifei shouted. The remaining 2 sword souls turned into divine light and slashed down. However, under Yi Fan's connate essence, the 2 sword cores were shattered and no longer existed. They were destroyed before they could even slash down. That's all? Is there anyone else? Yi Fan laughed and looked at the 13 saints with disdain. Although the 13 saints didn't know each other and used secret treasures to hide their faces, they still couldn't help but feel their faces burn. At this moment, it was unimaginable for one person to challenge 13 people. They were all geniuses and no one had ever dared to do this. Why don't all of you come at me together? Yi Fan said and laughed. Facing the 13 saints alone, his tone showed that he was not afraid at all. Everyone surrounded him, and their killing intent enveloped him. Kneel down like dogs. Zhao Yanran, the saint of all beginnings, said through gritted teeth. Although she was a woman and very beautiful, she was vicious. Her eyes were cold, and she hated Yi Fan to the core. Her killing intent was boundless. Women like you can only gang up on me. Otherwise, if one comes, I'll kill one. If 2 come, I'll kill both. Yi Fan curled his finger at her and said, "If you're not happy, I'll kill you with 1 finger. Do you dare to come over?" How arrogant! At the side, Jin Qishao finally attacked. His 5 organs shook, and a heavenly sound rang out. 5 beams of divine light rushed out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the void, 5 gods appeared and evolved the 5 elements. Then earth, fire, wind, and water rotated, opening up a small world formed from the heavens. Good methods, his comprehension towards space has reached this level. Even the older generation figures were horrified, all of them shocked. Break for me. Yi Fan didn't dodge. He walked up with large steps, taking the initiative to move forward. His hands moved and he evolved his own Dao. It wasn't a saint technique, but it was still shocking. This was the extreme of power, and it was the most compatible with his body. His entire body turned into a streak of divine light. One strength to destroy all techniques. He didn't use any techniques, but he used strength to destroy all things. It was simple and ordinary. One strength to destroy the heavens. His entire body was a weapon that could destroy everything. Kacha. The small world formed from the 5 elements instantly shattered and disappeared into the void. Jin Qishao retreated and didn't engage in a life and death battle. A look of shock appeared on his face. The saint of all beginnings attacked from the side. Dreams were like smoke, and a misty rain swept over. Facing this, the chaos green lotus appeared beside Yi Fan. Countless strands of mist shook, turning everything into an illusory flower. Everything disappeared. The saints took turns to go up to test his strength, and each of them displayed an ultimate technique. However, the 13 heroes couldn't break through at all. They were forced back by Yi Fan, and some of them even coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. All of you should come together. Yi Fan roared with laughter again. Kill! Finally, there were people who rushed over together. Even the older generation figures wanted to take action, not giving him a chance. Pooh! A miserable cry sounded, and a rain of blood flew about. In that instant, Yi Fan suddenly acted viciously, activating the all-character secret. The Rho character secret was displayed, and he threw himself over murderously. A saint child was blasted apart bare-handedly, turning into a bloody paste, dying a violent death. At the same time, one of the holy child of all beginnings' arms was torn off, blood scattering everywhere. The holy child of all beginnings almost fainted. She retreated into the crowd, her beautiful face pale, shocked and furious at the same time. All right, you all have tested him out. Now it's time to kill him. An elder spoke. I also have this intention, Yi Fan said coldly. He faced everyone powerfully, revealing a cold smile. Chapter 547. An elder stepped forward with a cold and emotionless expression, deciding on Yi Fan's fate. He was going to kill him immediately. Damned old man, what are you being so arrogant for? Can't you see that I am here? Hurry up and get over here to pay your respects. The Black Emperor pressed his 4 large paws onto the ground, sticking out his bright red tongue as he berated. As a grand elder of a holy land, he was incredibly noble. Who dared to speak to him like this? A dog taunted him like this, making him extremely furious. He really wanted to curse, but unfortunately, due to his status and face, he could only hold it in. You bastard, I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? The large black dog looked at him from the corner of his eyes and said, Don't you like to judge people? I'll also reward you with a pot sticker. Come over and accept your death. I'll kill you. Even a clay figurine would have some anger, let alone a prominent figure like him. Who dared to go against him? He was instantly enraged. The large black dog stretched out a large paw, tilted his head, and stopped this person without even looking at him. Are you going to fight me one-on-one, or do you want to gang up on me? The large black dog asked, baring his teeth as he spat out vulgarities. However, he acted like an otherworldly elite. Isn't it just killing a dog? What's with all this nonsense? CKU, are we going to fight to the death, or are you old men here to fight me alone? The large black dog spat out vulgarities, angering this person to the point that his heart ached. CK, I'll kill you right now. He finally couldn't take it anymore and cursed out loud. What kind of person is this? You've already lived for so many years, yet you still speak so rudely. You have no self-restraint at all, the large black dog said. Everyone felt like fainting. This dog kept on cursing, and he even said that someone else had no self-restraint. What a weirdo. This grand elder couldn't take it anymore. He felt like smoke was about to rise from his head. He pointed out a finger, and a black light tore through the air, piercing toward the Black Emperor's head. How immoral! You launched a sneak attack on me. The large black dog yelled. He opened his bloody mouth and said, "I want to fight you fair and square to the death." Everyone felt a toothache. This dog really deserved to be chopped up. Some people wanted nothing more than to set up a pot and immediately cook it. Then they would add some oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar, stir it, and eat it. For the sake of fairness, let's go outside and have a life and death battle. One-on-one, this emperor will fight. It will definitely become a classic battle that will be passed down through the ages. This dog really knows how to dawdle. Elder Qi, go outside and quickly chop it up. Many people couldn't stand it anymore. The large black dog dashed out like a wisp of smoke. He was even happier than a rabbit, and he directly fled without a trace. Damn it, you dog! Stop right there. Old Qi's forehead was full of black lines, and he was extremely furious. F'CKU, do you really think this empress will stoop to your level? Let's part ways here. We'll meet again in 500 years. The large black dog broke into a mad dash. He then turned around and said, "Bratyi, hold on. I'll avenge you 500 years later." What a top-grade dog. Everyone cursed. Unfortunately, extreme joy turned to sorrow. With a dong sound, it was beaten back by someone. There was an unparalleled expert secretly sealing off all directions. Even a bird couldn't fly past. Ayo! The large black dog let out a miserable cry. He flew diagonally with his injuries, and he took advantage of the situation to arrive in front of Louis. She was thrown to one side, and no one paid attention to her. They all felt that she was useless. The Black Emperor successfully sneaked over and carried her on his back. In the darkness, there was an unparalleled expert lying in ambush. A great ability level elite walked out. F'CK, this empress will fight you all to the death. The Black Emperor was furious. Black Emperor, come here. Yi Fan secretly transmitted his voice. Unfortunately, there was an expert isolating them, and they couldn't gather together. Soundlessly, a few elders appeared and suppressed the surroundings. There were actually great ability level figures. They really think highly of me. Yi Fan exclaimed in surprise. Even a great ability had come. Damn dog, That Elder Qi who rushed over clutched his throat and let out a miserable cry. The headless corpse fell onto the ground. A streak of rainbow light flew over, and his head was chopped into a bloody mist. What was that? Everyone was astonished. The large black dog held a black wooden box in his paw, and within it was a small sword that was about an inch long. It was trembling and it flickered with sword chi. Just now, it was precisely this sword that had flown out and killed a Grand Elder. I never thought that something hidden in a corner would be so useful. Needless to say, it was obvious that this was something that the large black dog had brought out from the ancient Emperor Mountain. A few elders surrounded him and actually formed a standoff. They didn't dare to move forward. Between the snowy peaks, the ice pine trees were tall and strong, and their branches stretched towards the sky. Cold winds howled, sweeping up thousands of piles of snow, and icicles flew everywhere. There were many figures on this side, and Yi Fan was surrounded. Ignoring the situation with the large black dog, everyone was prepared to attack together and kill Yi Fan, not giving him the slightest chance to escape. The holy maiden of all beginnings stood in the crowd, her face pale. One of her jade arms had been torn off, and her whole body was covered in cold sweat. Her hair that reached her waist was dyed with blood, and she almost fainted. Is there not a single one of you who dares to fight against me? Yi Fan looked towards the 13 holy sons, a hint of mockery on his face. The expressions of all the holy sons changed. Ever since they were young, who had ever spoken to them like this? There was actually a hint of contempt in his tone. They were the prodigies of the Eastern Desolation, and had always been the center of attention. They were proud and respected, so when had they ever been looked down upon like this? However, at this moment, not a single one of them stepped forward. Among them, not a single one had the confidence to suppress Yi Fan. Just now, everyone had already tested him. The 13 holy sons couldn't do anything to Yi Fan, and because of this, some were seriously injured, and there was even one who lost his life here. This was a lesson learned, and blood was the proof. Ha! Yi Fan laughed loudly, and it was quite frivolous. His hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were like lightning. This kind of arrogance, as well as his arrogance, really angered them, but still, not a single one dared to fight against him head-on. After the growth of the saint physique until now, there were already not many in the younger generation of the Eastern Desolation who could contend against him. This was their helpless sorrow. Apart from the Alcade Saint Child, the Eastern Desolation Divine King, Hua Yunfei, and a few others, who else could contend against him? They really couldn't think of anyone. Sever his own cultivation? To hell with it, who would believe it? Since that's the case, then you all can come at me together. I'll send all of you on your way. Yi Fan looked at everyone disdainfully. He didn't care at all, and he wanted to kill everyone here. Seeing him like this, everyone lost confidence. Unexpectedly, not a single one of them stepped forward, fearing that he had a killing trap. They were all hesitant. Ha! Yi Fan laughed loudly. He swept his gaze over the 13 holy sons, and then glanced at those supreme elders and half-step powerhouses. This kind of laughter was exceptionally ear-piercing. Everyone felt an expression of contempt, and they were all incomparably furious. So many people surrounded him, yet he still dared to act like this. I'll kill him. An elder at the 6th transformation of the dragon transformation from the Holy Land of All Beginnings pressed forward with large strides. People of this level had chased after Yi Fan in the past, and everyone knew this. He held a copper pagoda in his hand, and it pressed down like a mountain. He stood at the top of the pagoda, his aura majestic, crushing the snowy peak until it collapsed. A great avalanche occurred, and it was as terrifying as a tsunami. Yi Fan soared into the air like a dragon. His entire body's essence energy surged, and all the secret characters were activated. His battle prowess increased tenfold, and his fist broke through the sky. Ding! A sky-shaking sound rang out. The copper pagoda was a secret treasure, and it sucked Yi Fan inside. Everyone was overjoyed. However, their smiles hadn't even finished blossoming when they froze again. The body of the pagoda was cracking, and the mountain-like ancient pagoda shattered. This was especially true at the top. Yi Fan rushed out, and the expert standing at the top of the pagoda was beaten into several pieces. The golden fist seemed to have smashed into a pile of mud. It pressed forward courageously, and this elder was smashed into several pieces. His bones and flesh flew in all directions. An expert at the 6th transformation of the dragon transformation, together with his magic treasure, was dealt with by Yi Fan's fist without the slightest bit of suspense. This made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. Has he reached the great circle of the 4 extremes? In the past, when Yi Fan was at the 2nd layer of the 4 extremes, he could fight against an expert at the 4th transformation of the dragon transformation. Based on this, everyone knew that he had definitely advanced again. No, he's at the 3rd layer of the 4 extremes, and he hasn't reached the Great Circle yet. Someone saw through some clues. But why do I feel like he has already reached the Great Circle? Someone had a different opinion. They weren't afraid of Yi Fan's current battle prowess, but they were shocked at his cultivation speed. This was too fast. It hadn't even been a year. Could it be that he had already reached the 2nd layer? If you're not convinced, then come at me together. I'll kill all of you. Yi Fan's confidence and frivolity made everyone furious. The half-step Almighty went up to destroy him. Ding! An ancient cauldron appeared above Yi Fan's head, and it let out a trembling sound. It was like the ringing of a morning bell, and it shook people's souls. The source energy descended, and it protected him tightly. At this moment, everyone's eyes burned with incomparable passion. They all fixed their eyes on the source energy of all things. This was a holy object left behind by the ancient heavenly emperor. Courting death. The half-step Almighty sneered, carrying a hint of mockery. He reached out a large hand, grabbing forward to directly grab the cauldron and take it away. Suddenly, that large hand of his flowed with blood, flesh and bones badly mangled, as if it had been crushed by a great mountain. Even his finger bones were shattered. You? What's inside the cauldron? The half-step Almighty was horrified, staggering backwards. He felt his blood run cold, as if there was a barbaric phoenix hibernating, able to burn all things. It was naturally an archaic saint. Even though it was sealed within the divine source, even when Yi Fan approached, he felt as if his body was going to collapse, let alone the bodies of others. If they reached into the cauldron, they would definitely be injured. The half-step almighty all pressed forward, wanting to deal with Yi Fan together and kill him. Oh, on the other side, the large black dog cried out miserably. The black wooden box in his hands was struck flying by someone. He bit a mouthful of snow, almost falling into the snowy valley. Lu Yi slid down from his body, falling onto the ground. Swoosh! The holy maiden of all beginnings rushed over, picked up Yi, and laughed coldly and mercilessly. Yi Fan, immediately kneel in front of me and beg for mercy like a dog. She had lost an arm, and even though she could regrow it in the future, at this moment, she was still close to going crazy. Making me kneel in front of you, you will never experience it in this life, Yi Fan said coldly. If you don't kneel, I will make you watch her die right now. The holy maiden of all beginnings' eyes flickered with cold light. A bloody mark appeared on Lu Yi's delicate neck. A silver blade was placed horizontally there, and bright red blood flowed out. Her face carried a mournful expression, and time seemed to stop. Yi Fan's heart also almost stopped beating. He was incomparably furious, and even his knuckles had turned blue from clenching so hard that his jet-black hair began to tremble even though there was no wind. Kneel and beg me in front of everyone? The holy maiden of all beginnings laughed coldly. Yi Fan, Louis said. Yi Fan calmed down and took off the cauldron from his head. It turned into the size of a fist, and he held it in his palm. He looked at everyone and said, I will throw this cauldron to whoever kills that be *T first and rescues Yi. These people didn't know who each other was, and they all came with hidden identities. After hearing this, many people were moved, and killing intent spread out. Who wouldn't be tempted by the holy treasure of an ancient celestial emperor? The holy maiden of all beginnings was shocked, and pushed Lu Yi out. The large black dog rushed over, and caught her again. It's useless to say these things now. There's no need to discuss who the cauldron belongs to. Kill him first. A great elite spoke and pressed over. Everyone gathered around. Ding. Yi Fan threw the cauldron on the ground, and this immediately caused a commotion. All those who were hiding in the dark came out, pressing forward in fear of falling behind. I want to see how you create a miracle. An eerie voice sounded, and it carried boundless hatred. Kill the holy physique, it's right before our eyes. Everyone shouted together, and killing intent filled the mountain range. Everyone, let's ascend together and send you all on your way. Yi Fan laughed loudly. He naturally had a trump card, or else he definitely wouldn't come here to throw his life away. However, he wasn't just using the archaic saint. That was a double-edged sword, and once released, he himself would die. Boom! A 30,000-meter tall sea of lightning descended from the sky, instantly submerging this place. This was a sea of heavenly tribulation. Motherf *Ker, brat, you forgot about me and schemed against me. You're too despicable. The large black dog howled, doing his best to protect Yi. Yi Fan had gone into seclusion not to break through, but rather to reach that critical point. He had been suppressing it all this time, and only released it today to face the tribulation here.